Welcome to the Smithfield Planning Board meeting for Thursday, September 18th, 2025. Initially, in terms of the emergency evacuation notices, in case of emergency, there are two main exits out the chambers. The first is to the left side of the stage, up the stairs, through the doorway, and down the stairway, out the back side of the town hall. The second is out the back of the chambers, to the exit doorway, to the stairway out the front of the town hall. The men's facilities are through the back of the chambers, past the stairway, around the corner on the right. The ladies' facilities are through the back door of the chamber, straight up the stairs, and on the left. Please do not use the elevator in times of emergencies. Initially, a review of the meeting minutes of August 21st, 2025. Does anyone have any proposed amendments, changes, or comments? Catherine?
Page 3 at the bottom, the second paragraph up at the end of
I think the microphone.
it says, "So in someone's digging." I think that it should be an if. Down below-
Madeline, we can't hear you out here. Could you,
At where it says, "So if someone's digging," it should say, "So if someone's digging." And the chair, Amber, in the next paragraph says, ask that high levels of Delbert, and I think you meant to say if high levels.
Correct.
And then on page 5, one, two, three paragraphs down, again, it's talking about tells him that the applicant, we can get one thing for that.
Agreed.
And then 1, 2, 3, 4 up on the bottom, another one, Mr. Lang states that if no surprise, I think probably should say if no surprise.
Okay.
And the last paragraph on that page talks about involved that what was already done. I think that needs to be changed, so it's grammatically correct. And then on page 13, two paragraphs up from the bottom, talks about Mr. Nanning states there was no elevation issues there, so it's not.
Ms. Lim, is your mic on?
My mic is on.
Could you speak closer to it because we can't hear you out here?
Well, it doesn't go any farther. Oh, we just made it.
There you go.
Okay, I was saying the second paragraph up on page 13 states, member Nanny states there is also elevation issues there, so it's not feasible, should be not feasible. That's it from me.
Okay. Anyone else with any proposed changes or additions to the meeting minutes? Do we have a second?
Second.
Well, we have a motion to
Well,
approve.
motion
actually.
to approve with changes.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All not in favor? The ayes have it. Next on the agenda is planning board elections. Mr. Solicitor, how are we doing this?
I can conduct them for you.
Okay?
So, and usually you're supposed to do your elections in June. We realized they weren't done at that time, plus we had some changes to the board anyway, so we're going to conduct them tonight. So what I'll do first is I'm going to call for nominations first for the position of the chair of the planning board. Do we have any nominations for the chair of the planning board?
Mr. Solicitor,
Yes.
I nominate James DeAmber as to continue as chair of the
Planning board.
All right. We have a nomination from Member Rotella for James DeAmbra. Do we have a second to that nomination?
Second.
It's been seconded by Member Yocum. I'll call for any other nominations for the chair of the planning board. Second call for any nominations to the chair. Third call for a nomination for the chair of the planning board. Seeing that there are no further nominations, the nominations are closed. Although it'll be a no vote, we'll take a vote for the chair for Mr. DeAmbra. Who's in favor of Mr. DeAmbra being the chair of the planning board?
Aye.
Do I vote
Any-
for myself?
You can vote for yourself.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? There being no one opposed, anyone abstain? No abstentions, passes 9-0. Congratulations, Mr. DeAmbra. I'll now take any nominations for the vice chair of the planning board.
I nominate Mr. Rotello as vice chair.
Chairman DeAmbra has nominated Mr. Rotella. Do we have a second?
Second.
That's been seconded by Member Nanny. Do we have any other nominations for the vice chair of the planning board? Second call for any nominations for the vice chair of the planning board. Third call. There being no further nominations, the nomination process is closed. I'll call for a vote with respect to Mr. Rotella being the vice chair of the planning board. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? None opposed, none abstained, passes 9-0. Congratulations, Member Rotella. Last position is for the secretary of the planning board.
I nominate Richard Colvecchio.
Member Moen has nominated Member Colvecchio. Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Member Yocum. Any other nominations for secretary of the planning board?
Mr. Solicitor, I nominate Al Nanny.
Member Rotella has nominated Member Manny, Al Manny. Do we have a second to that nomination?
Second.
It's been seconded by Mr. Chairman DeAmbra. Second call for any nominations for the secretary of the planning board. Third call for any nominations for secretary to the planning board. There being none, nominations are closed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call for a roll call vote. With respect to Member Colavecchio, Member Yocum, what's your vote?
Yes.
Member Colavecchio,
Yes.
Member Sabota,
Yes.
Member Alexander,
Yes.
Chairman DeAmbra,
No.
Member Nanny,
Yes.
Member Rotella,
No.
no?
No.
Member Lynn,
Yes.
and Member Moen.
Yes.
The vote is 7-2 in favor of Member Colavecchio. Congratulations, Member Colavecchio. You are now the Secretary of the Planning Board. That concludes the elections for this year.
There were announcements on the notice. Am I to review the announcements or go right into new business?
Review the announcements.
Okay. Shamrock Lane in Hill Street, 0 Cross Street, It's noted it's removed from the agenda. Next matter, residents at 295, 34 Rocky Hill Drive. Public hearing was canceled.
Mr. Chair, can we just address that one in a little more detail for you?
Sure.
And for purposes of people who are here tonight, because you will see on your agenda, item 7. Item 7.1. So with respect, I'm sorry, point 3. With respect to residents at 295, the public hearing is canceled. It's not going forward tonight. However, due to a defective notice in the newspaper. So it's being renoticed for October 16th for the actual public hearing. Abutters are going to get a new notice. However, the applicant had still asked for a master plan review tonight without public hearing. So essentially, it's similar to almost holding a pre-application meeting again. They wanted to still present to you a project to show you what they plan to do and get any feedback. As the chair, you can also open it to public comment. I recommend you limit it to a couple of minutes per public comment. Everything being done here tonight is not evidence. It is not to be considered for the actual public hearing next month. This board is not taking a vote tonight in any way. However, the applicant chose to present so that they could get an idea of the current state of what they want to present and any further feedback from the board.
Next matter is discussion scheduling a special meeting regarding the application by Beaupart LLC related to 60 and 82 Lime Rock Road. The proposal is to have a meeting on October 23rd, 2025, with the location of the Smithfield Senior Center, 1 William Hawkins Trail, Junior Trail. Seems like a good request, given the public interest in that particular matter.
Absolutely. And so there's no vote needed, but we wanted to gauge the board's availability on this date. We've looked into the availability of the senior center.
Is that a special date as opposed to, are we having another October meeting in addition to that?
Correct. So this would be a standalone meeting for this specific application in addition to the regularly scheduled meeting.
It's a week later.
Correct.
What is everybody's,
I'm good with it.
anyone with an issue?
No, should be a good time.
Okay. Okay, we'll go with that. Continuing old business, Windsor Apartments, public hearing, major land development preliminary plan review. This is, we had this at the last meeting and we stopped given time constraints.
Right. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Kelly Morris Salvatore. I represent the applicant. Last month, we were going to have the executive director of Gemini Housing give you a brief statement, Mr. Chairman, if you're, Yeah, whenever you're ready. So the executive director is here. She was just going to give you a brief statement before we go on with Mark Sicoscio, who's the architect, and then we'll move on. We actually had a neighborhood meeting. Because you continued the matter, we took the opportunity to get neighborhood input because we didn't have public comment. So Mr. D'Amico will go over some changes that we made based on their comments in an attempt to alleviate some of the concerns. So with that, I'm going to ask Sharice Miller to come forward.
Hi, good evening.
Yes,
I do. Sharice Miller? I'm sorry? Cherise. Last name Miller.
Okay. Did you swear him? Swear? Well, I want to swear you in again, because I don't know if the court reporter has the power to do so or not. I know when you're taking testimony, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Please proceed.
My name is Cherise Miller. I am the new Executive Director for Gemini Housing Corp. and Smithfield Housing Authority. I've been in the affordable housing world for 22 years, and I look forward to furthering Smithfield's commitment to affordable housing. I am pleased to be here tonight to introduce the Windsor School redevelopment, where we plan to serve our seniors in this community. We know the need for affordable housing continues to grow, and so too does the need for affordable housing for seniors. We are grateful for the opportunity to have secured a purchase and sales agreement with the town and are working hard to provide a beautiful and financially feasible product to our seniors. We currently have 240 households on the waiting list for senior affordable housing who we are just waiting to serve. Smithfield is a desirable location for our senior residents. Some of our residents were members of this community before they applied for housing, and they are happy to be in their community, some close to their families, services that they rely on, and places that they are familiar with. Our residents often share how grateful they are to live in a peaceful community, and they typically don't move. The Windsor School redevelopment is a win-win for Smithfield, reuse of a vacated town building and providing seniors with a place to call home. I look forward to working with the town to support our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Do you want of the witness?
Yeah.
Sure.
Can I just ask a question of her? There are how many on the waiting list?
240.
How many of those are Smithfield residents?
I didn't get the Smithfield residents.
Yeah, I'd be really curious to know, in Gemini's other buildings on town, how many are actually Smithfield residents that were Smithfield residents? Because I have a feeling we're having a lot of people from out of town coming into these developments.
Okay,
Yeah,
I can get that information for you.
okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening. Mark Sakosio, Sakosio Associates Architects, 1085 Park Avenue, Cranston, Rhode Island.
I'm going to swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do. We don't get the double, to be really honest. Thank you. I'm just going to quickly go over the architectural plans. I'm going to draw your attention to the site plan first. You can see this is the existing school building. As part of the original purchase and sales agreement with the town, there were two things. One was it to be senior housing, and second was that they asked us to preserve the look and feel of the existing school. So we'll see that in the renderings as well. The existing school has 29 units, 28 one-bedroom and 1 two-bedroom, and a small addition, which is basically some office, a stairwell, and an elevator. There's a second building which has 22 units, all one-bedroom units in the back. You're familiar with the circulation. Cottage Street remains two ways, and then once you're on site, the movements are in, parking, and exit back out to 44. We did have a meeting with the residents, so we had a public meeting, well, not a public meeting, an informational meeting Monday night with the residents. There were some concerns about the dumpster placement, which is in this area. We have since moved it over to here, which is about as far as away we can get from anybody's home. And there was a question about smoking. There wasn't a designated smoking area. We're going to be designating some smoking areas in the front of the building there as well. So those are two things. And the third is we're going to replace the current chain link fence all along the properties here with a stockade, a wood stockade fence. So those were three of the items that came up that we addressed at that meeting. and we're going to comply with those requests. Now, bring your attention to the site plan and the renderings. As you can see, this is just a colored rendering of the site. This is Cottage 44, the existing building, the new building. This is looking east from Cottage Street. The existing building is here, and the new addition in the back. As we said, we're trying to keep the look and feel of the site, the scale of the site as well, and really try to make the new building blend in with the old, and so that generally aesthetically, the buildings stay are very compatible with the neighborhood. Unless there's questions, I'm not going to go much more into the plans.
Any questions? Yes.
So the smoking area is going to be in front of the building facing 44?
Yeah.
What other, are you here to address what transpired at the public meeting?
Not necessarily.
'Cause I'm curious as to what other things came up.
I think, I mean, there are some neighbors here that I'm sure they're going to speak, but people were concerned about the view from Hattie, the residences on Hattie Ave. So we addressed that with a row of arborvitaes and an opaque fence along that line. They were, one of the neighbors was concerned about the dumpster placement. So we moved that to a location that we felt was as far away from all of the neighbors, as possible. What was the other one? And the smoke, they were worried about smoking, and it's a tough site because I think the law is they have to be 25 feet away from any building. So, this is a non-smoking facility, so if you have, I actually Googled what the percentage of smokers are at that age, and you're probably gonna have about 10 to 12 smokers in this new development. That's Googling. But, obviously, there's probably gonna be a couple of people that are smoking once in a while outside. So, we wanna work with the neighbors. So we'll provide, I'm not sure if we've decided definitely on the front of the building, but we're happy to work with the neighbors on where that occurs. There was another lady who I know is here that has concerns about her driveway and people coming in, which we can talk about, David D'Amico can talk about. I don't want to speak for the neighbors. There was a lot of conversation, and I'm sure you'll hear from them, but we tried to address the things that we could address.
Yeah, the arborvitaes were there in the plan already to try to screen.
Thank you.
To try to screen that property line as well.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
On the going out the outlet to 44?
Yes.
Is the plan to have the goal to be a right turn only going out of that?
Currently, you can both directions.
Okay.
That's something we can discuss. Paul Bannon's here from traffic. It's probably better for him to address that than
Yeah.
me.
Okay.
I live this too. I'm a Smithfield resident. I know what it's
Yeah.
like, so.
Yeah. Well, the thought was certainly left turn would seem to add issues to it.
Yeah.
I just thought of like in Papagino's. When you go out Papagino's parking lot to 44, it's got that
Right.
curve.
Yeah.
If something like that, if there's a decision to go just right turn only.
It's certainly
Something
something,
that would physically hinder, so just a thought.
I think it's a valid question, concern, and something we should discuss. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So at this point, David, do you want to add anything at this point? I think we're good. Unless you have any questions for the civil engineer, we could probably turn to traffic. I know you have your peer reviewer here, and Paul Bannon's also here. I don't know if you want to hear from Paul first to, talk about how he responded. I think you have a copy of his response. But I know you also have your peer reviewer here as well.
I think it makes sense to go with our peer review and then
Yep.
have Ms. Bannon
Okay.
respond, and
Sure.
that makes logical sense.
Yep. Thanks.
Well, are we accepting the traffic? Because didn't that come in late?
It did come in late. When did you receive the peer review?
Monday,
So
and we got it right back to them.
That's,
We got it at 5 last night.
right, but they received the peer review, the town's peer review Monday. So they, what I'm assuming, turned it
Think-
around in a couple of
Like in
days.
24 hours.
So they didn't
I
have
think,
much time
right?
to
No?
respond. That's why I know
We really haven't had any time to read it.
we haven't had time to digest it either, but
Yeah, I mean, let's have the discussion and see where it leads, and then you can make a
yeah,
decision.
well,
Yeah.
in this case, given that they didn't receive it till late, that's a
Thank you.
mitigating circumstance, in my opinion.
And that's why it's good to hear from the peer review here tonight too, so she can explain everything, give the board time to understand what her report was in the first instance.
Okay, thank you. If you can state your name,
Sure, it's Jacqueline.
your address, and then I'll
Centracchio.
swear you in.
Okay, my home address, Jacqueline.
Or business is fine.
Okay, sorry. Jacqueline Centracchio, 701 George Washington Highway. Okay, Jaklyn, Centracchio, Centracchio.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do. I just need to get over here and roll in my present.
And Ms. Centracchio, before you begin your presentation, can you give the board a little bit of a background of your, where you work and your education and experience?
Okay, sorry. I'm a traffic engineer, professional engineer, professional traffic operations engineer. I've worked in the industry 23 years. I have other certifications, but they don't necessarily apply to this, so I'll end it there. Okay. So yes, we did a peer review. Oh, I guess I can skip this slide. Okay. And I'm a senior project manager at Beta Group. So as part of our peer review process, we conducted a site visit. We did review the initial traffic study. We submitted our comments on September 11th, or dated September 11th, and then we did get a chance to quickly review the response to comments that we received last night. As part of the peer review process, our review included looking at the study area, looking at the time and day of the data collection, looking at the projected trip generation and distribution methodology. We looked at the capacity analysis in terms of level of service, delays, queuing, and also the site distance analysis methodology. As part of our initial review, we had 10 comments, so sorry I threw this together this afternoon. There might be some typos, but should be okay. We did have 10 comments, so I thought maybe we should just go through each comment, and some of them completely addressed, others we just have a little more to add based on the responses we received yesterday. For data collection, they collected data on Thursday, June 5th of this year from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 3 to 6 p.m. That was a typical school day. We find that day acceptable to have collected data. School is still in session. We did note that it was acceptable, but we stated that RIDOT might want a 12-hour count. But the response from the proponent was that they think that the data collection is sufficient, and, you know, when it goes to RIDOT, they may or may not comment on that. But they did capture the peak periods of the day, which is typical of an assessment. Traffic assessment. Comment number 2, they had evaluated the Putnam Pike and Pleasant View Avenue intersection and the Putnam Pike and proposed exit-only driveway. The Putnam Pike and West Cottage Avenue intersection was not included, so we had just asked them to include that intersection, which they said that they did include that in the study area in response to our comment. Okay, comment number 3 gets a little tricky. So this is related to the site distance. The site distance, the appropriate stopping site distance calculation, we use the design speed. A design speed of 35 miles per hour was used for this analysis. It's the posted speed of 25 miles per hour plus an additional 10 miles per hour to get you to that 35 miles per hour, which does meet the RIDOT criteria. And based on this 35 mile per hour design speed, the stopping site distance needed would be 250 feet. So again, the stopping site distance is the distance that a vehicle on the main line needs in order to be able to safely stop approaching an intersection, or really any object in the road or anything like that. So there's also a thing called intersection site distance that we can analyze. The intersection site distance is really the distance that you need to see if you are a vehicle stopped at a side street, at a stop line. So it's what you can see to the right, it's what you can see to the left. And actually, if I go back all these slides, one of the pictures I took is, so you're at a stop bar, what you can see to the right without having visibility issues. So that's just another site distance. So we did just ask for them to evaluate that and analyze that. Their response was that the stopping site distance was found to be much greater than the required stopping site distance, and that's the minimum that's needed, and that's sufficient. So a few notes about that was the calculation to determine that 250 feet of stopping site distance was based on a 2-lane roadway. So we took a look at what it would be for a 4-lane roadway, which is what we have in front of the site. So applying the calculation to the 4-lane roadway would require a lot longer gap time, basically more time for a vehicle to actually exit the side street and get into their position along the roadway. So the longer site distance is needed than the minimum. So we had calculated it, and the site distance would be 412 feet. We took another step and we looked at, okay, the proponent said that there's 500 feet of allowed available stopping site distance at their site locations. So we back calculated a bit, and for the 500 feet that they say they have available, that would mean a 42.5 mile per hour design speed. So it would be appropriate and sufficient site distance for 42.5 miles per hour, which is still less than, or the 42.5 miles per hour is less than the calculated 35 miles per hour, and it's probably right around what the 85th percentile speed might be if they had taken additional speed data along Putnam Pike. Does that make sense? Okay. So again, comment 3, we don't really have further comment on that. Comment 4 was really basically when they're exiting their site driveway, just make sure that the planting's less than 3 feet. It's pretty standard in designs, and we just want to maintain that optimal sight line, and the proponent agreed to make sure that they work with their team to make sure that happens. Comment 5, it's just a little technical comment with the analysis. It was just in the report. The future analysis year kind of varied throughout the report, so we just wanted to know what that analysis year is in fact, and the proponent said that they updated the references. Comment 6, again, so The 5-year design year is pretty typical for RIDOT, so we thought maybe, they might be asking for this in the future, the 5-year future design. But the proponent thinks that a 3-year design would be acceptable with RIDOT, so we'll let RIDOT review that. I don't see it making that much of a difference with the analysis, adding a few extra years on there, so. Comment 7, no build, again, it's just a little kind of added, there were no, so with these traffic studies, typically you'll see an existing condition, which is present day. You'll see a no-build future condition, which is, in this case, 3 years out, could be 5 years out, could be 10 years out, depending on what the project is. And then you have and that no-build is really without the project, what the volumes are gonna look like, what the growth, including a growth rate into those existing volumes for that future. And then there's the build, which that's the future same year as the no build, but that includes the development traffic. So the proponent says that, no build diagrams are not necessary, and given the little generation of trips for the site comparatively, we think it's fine because in the future, it includes the growth rate and the development trips, and I think there's 15 units or something of background developments that is in the future too. Comment 8, again, it's with no build analysis. They didn't provide that. It's comment number 9. Okay, so comment number 9 is the analysis for the Putnam Pike and West Village Avenue traffic analysis for that intersection. It wasn't included. They said they'll include the analysis in the revised report, and that the level of service looked good at a level of service B for that intersection. Comment 10 kind of works with comment 9, so they analyzed it in comment 9. We had made comment saying due to the proximity of that intersection, or all 3 intersections, so we have the site drive, we have West Village, and we have Pleasant View. So because they're so close and there's a signal with queue backups in the AM and PM peak periods, we are suggesting, or we had suggested, that not only the basic synchro analysis be done, but the sim traffic, which is the micro simulation model, also be done. They work together, the 2 programs. It's just really an extra step of the analysis. Because we really wanted to see how much that westbound queue during the peaks backed up, and we wanted to make sure that primarily the left turn movement into West Village was taken into account with that analysis, because the level of service B and not much queuing into West Village doesn't seem like an accurate reflection of what's actually going to be happening there, or what is happening, and the delay. Because that simulation takes into account the queue delay experience when you're heading westbound behind 300 plus feet of queue. It takes into account the delay that's experienced going into West Village. They said a level of service B, it might not be an F or an E level of service, but it might be a little worse if it was analyzed with sim traffic. Again, it exists today, and it'll be a little worse in the future with the development, but without having done the analysis, I don't think it'll make that much more of an impact, but I just want to make sure that the study is reflective of what actually happens out there today. And those were our comments. One other consideration that I wanted to mention to the board was that because taking that left outside of that site drive would be a very challenging maneuver, consideration might be given to proposing a do not block the intersection pavement marking for the westbound direction on Putnam Pike with supplemental signing to enforce that. So that was just a little bit of a side on that, because that's a challenging movement. That's all I have.
What's involved in the sim traffic analysis?
What's involved in it?
Yeah, what needs to be done to have that?
It's really not, so basically, so Synchro and Sim Traffic work together. So they have the Synchro model, and then really Sim Traffic is to just press another button, let it analyze and review.
So it
The
can be done
data.
very easily.
It's very, yes, it's done very easily, so I don't think it's. a
What's
big
the difference between the two programs? What are they targeted at?
So really, Synchro Synchro doesn't take into consideration the unsignalized intersection. Okay, sorry, let me start again. That's on the record. Okay, so there's the signal at Pleasant View, right? So that backs up, that queue backs up. And 100 feet away is West Village. West Village the analysis for West Village doesn't take into account the queue backup at Pleasant View as part of their analysis. They don't really,
In the Synchro?
in the Synchro,
But the Sim does.
the Sim does,
Gotcha. Thank you.
if that makes sense, yeah. Okay.
This sounds like a really bad video game. I mean, I don't know. So,
Any other questions of the board members?
So we're expecting a revised traffic report from the applicant, some kind of final report. Has your office been contacted to look at that final report one last time? That you know of? I mean, I would certainly like her to see it, because it sounds like she's caught quite a few things that we still have some questions on. And I know some of the people on the board have additional questions. This is I think it's the key concern for
The
the board.
traffic and the
Yeah.
queue.
So I
Yeah.
think Mr. Bannon can respond to some of these issues, the bigger issues, but he was thinking that, he wants to be on the same page as the peer reviewer. So he wants to produce a final report that the peer reviewer is satisfied with. So that's why he wasn't ready to submit the final report, because he wants to make sure that they're on the same page. Do you want to see? Thank you.
You can
For the record, Paul Bannon with Grossman Engineering.
swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do. Sorry about the traffic.
It's all about the traffic.
We responded to the comments. They're all minor in nature. It can be provided. It's not going to change the results of any of the findings or recommendations. As Jacqueline tried to indicate, the synchro analysis it just looks at that intersection independently. So if there were no cars and you could actually turn at the intersection, that's what the level of service would be. But if you're 5 cars back and you can't get there, it doesn't analyze that. That's what the Sim Traffic does. It simulates a micro-simulation of cars moving through the intersection. So we can provide that backup.
Has that been done since it was mentioned in peer review? Have you guys ran the program yet?
We've done it in Synchro. We haven't run the simulation yet.
Do you have any problem running it in Sim?
No, it's just a sheet in the back to back up the analysis.
That's one of the major issues, is the traffic. And just this week, it was queued way past where the entrance and exit would be at rush hour.
And it varies, by cycle and by day.
I drive it every day, so
But it's-
I know what the queue is, and I know what the queue is at times between 5 and 6 p.m. The queue is backing up past where your entrance and exit would be.
And, the next platoon of traffic coming from the east may not have that. It depends on, especially in that area, how many people are turning left, how the, lane waiting. If people don't want to get in that left lane because they may get stopped, and people are in the right lane because they want to go through. So, and then people turning in those businesses. So it fluctuates on getting through the intersection. But yes, the general experience is that, you'll be queued up along our property frontage.
So, would you like to mention your comment? Because I think it was a good comment.
Oh, yeah. I was just thinking about the exit going out, being right turn only, because left turn is obviously what we're concerned about, one of the concerns, but just some kind of, just like I was talking about, Papagenos has the curve to
Yes.
it as you go out. Something that would hinder somebody, basically forcing them to go right only.
And
So,
as I mentioned at the previous hearing, we have to go to the Department of Transportation. We will discuss this and also the question on potential putting in, don't block the box control to allow that gap to happen. With the low volumes of traffic on this driveway, I don't think the DOT would consider that at that location. It may create an issue with the library. If people may think they can take a left turn there now, if that gap was available, but it's restricted to right turn only exiting.
DOT would control the exiting coming out of the private?
No, you would, if you haven't seen it, they do it in the city a lot, where they'll draw a square in the middle of the intersection, so cars don't go through the intersection, they stop in advance if they're in the queue. So there'd be, say, a 50-foot gap in that queue, so any cars that are turning from a side street or a driveway could access the main road. And then when it turns green, they go through. But if you're creating that queue, when your turn comes up, you're supposed to not enter the intersection.
But the concept of having only a right turn coming out of the property would alleviate a lot of people causing issues trying to take a left-hand turn in traffic that's just packed.
Correct. And that, again, we will discuss that with the Department of Transportation as part of our application.
Do they make that call, or do you? Or
No,
do you make
it's their call, and we will raise that as part of our.
even though it's coming out of private, it's not affecting necessarily the public road?
I just did one down in Westerly on Franklin Street, very similar, 4-lane, high-volume roadway, rebuilding a Old Friendlies.
The other point with the roadway in that area is the lanes are narrow.
Correct.
So it's very difficult even to take a right-hand turn because it's the perpendicular nature and the narrowness of the lanes. You're getting cars trying to take a right-hand turn going into the left travel lane in that same direction because of the width. That's our concern with it.
Yeah, and then that you'd have to wait to make sure that no one is coming versus someone in the left lane you think you can get in.
And you know what happens.
Yep.
That's-
But DOT will be looking at, we'll have to provide them as part of our review. Typically on a project of this size, we wouldn't even have to develop a traffic impact study. We would just have to submit a trip generation estimate to show that we don't meet their threshold and a site distance analysis for the driveways to ensure that safe stopping site distance is available. So.
Go ahead. We had some, you got a question? I said, we jumped on your response with some issues that were interesting to us, but go ahead.
I'll answer any questions.
This study, is it in one point in time or just, my question basically is, are we taking into account what other cities, other towns are doing around Smithfield? So 44 is a pass-through.
Correct.
Right? It goes to many places. Are we taking into account what those towns are doing currently to build out in those areas that would use 44? So that's number one. And number two, do we have any kind of projection analysis as to the future?
Well, that's
The
what we
future
did.
build, because that road is just, it's extremely congested now. So if it gets any worse, you put this in, this goes through, and if it gets any worse, you have future building going on, because the building isn't going to stop, right?
Correct.
It's going to keep going on and on and on until, most free space is taken up. So I just want to know if we're looking at that and if we can do any kind of projection analysis over the next 5 years to see what kind of building might be going on, or what is in the pipeline now?
We looked at a future 3-year period that includes background growth based on population, projected population increases from statewide planning. Route 44 is a state highway. You're responsible for planning and allowing developments to occur within your community. They're responsible for the infrastructure that goes through that community. So, and they have their program of improvements. They study these roadways, and they just did a congested corridor traffic signal system installation along here, where they put in advanced traffic control technologies that'll help traffic flow through these locations. But also they review the roadways to see typically a 20-year period. That's what they do. So they look at what existing conditions are, how it operates, then they project out to 20 years to develop a future no-build condition to say, okay, what do we need to do? And then they do their future build analysis to address the deficiencies in that 20-year period.
So they're saying everything's fine over the next 20 years? There's not going to be an increase in traffic there?
Well, I understand the concern and the issues because of this section of roadway. You get through the commercial area, then you go.
It's very dangerous, too.
Free flow.
You're
through.
talking about elderly housing, elderly people pulling in and out.
I could live there.
So I'm just saying that, we have to be mindful of all of these things.
Correct. So, the Department of Transportation is responsible for the Route 44 corridor, and they review it regularly and is part of their infrastructure program. So their most recent one was the congested corridor. I did studies 10, 20 years ago. Traffic volumes are actually less at those intersections than they were over like 10 years ago. So,
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, during the peak hours.
Interesting.
So, and that's
Do we have
common
that data?
on record here, yes.
Can you get that to
Yes,
us,
we
please?
can provide that.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
My sense is that the design group, the applicant, sees this as a very small migration of people, just a very small people moving in and out. And again, my sense is that DOT is going to feel the same way as it's being presented. Whereas the board here, or the people in town who know this area, I believe feel pretty strongly that if we don't be proactive about what we're proposing, what you're proposing, or standing firm on, hey, listen, we're only going to agree to this if there's a right turn only. I don't know how DOT or how the design team would really present this to DOT.
And the town, as part of their physical alteration permit, we have to submit a letter from the town acknowledging the project. You can have your planner, you can have your town engineer write that concern specifically in that correspondence as part of the application.
So it could be an approval from us it could be contingent on that right turn only. The approval can be contingent on the right turn only. No, that's what I guess that's what I'm. That's what I presume.
You can raise the question to investigate the feasibility or need for that restriction, and they'll look at all the information and make that decision.
But our approval could be conditioned on that as.
Because my sense.
That's what we so choose.
I would say respectfully, based on experts, like if DOT and their experts don't want the right turn only.
I don't have a lot of trust in DOT, so. Okay?
No, I get it, but I mean, if they don't approve it, we don't get the project, I mean, that's not.
I mean,
So, I mean, we're happy to ask.
I've run government agencies, so,
Yeah.
you know, I don't want to talk about whether we trust their opinion or not, but based on their track record, it's our job here to protect the town.
Again, I just got a question. What would DOT's objection be to that?
If it creates an issue downstream
Oh,
by forcing someone to go where they're not supposed to make that turn. But the volumes we're talking about.
but when we're weighing the safety of someone trying to take.
And that's what they're going to weigh.
The left, taking a left-hand turn into very, very congested traffic versus the requirement of maybe someone being forced to take a right-hand turn, turning around in an area that's much more safe. I think when you're weighing the equities, I don't think anyone could say.
And that's what they'll do. Crossman works with the department's traffic safety office as part of our State Traffic Commission reviews and studies that we do for them. So these are things that we look at if a community has an issue on safety or operations. They'll say, can you take a look at this as a high incidence of crashes? What can we do? And these are the types of measures that we can implement or recommend. So again, as part of our application to the DOT, we're going to need a letter from the town. That letter can state that the town has reservations on allowing left turn movements out of that driveway. Can the department consider restricting it to right turns? That can be part of the application.
It might be more than that.
Joe?
Yeah, is there any, has there been given any thought in any way, shape, or form to restrict a left-hand turn during particular periods of time? Like, I mean, I've seen, you know, on the highways in the state of Rhode Island and in the city, there are restrictions on when you can make a left turn, when you cannot make a left turn.
Problem, it's private property, right? So that the enforceability is a real issue.
And those are typical restrictions because of cut-through traffic. They don't want, because
I'm talking about from the exit onto Route 44, okay? Route 44 is a state highway. Can DOT put a restriction that, in fact, you can't make a left turn from 4 o'clock in the afternoon till 6 o'clock at night?
again, that would be an enforcement thing. If you allow people to do things, they do it. So, but again, you know, the town has the ability to raise the concerns to the Department of Transportation as part of the application. And we have to get that letter from you, and it would be included in. And yet, this is the least reuse of that property that could be proposed. You're going to have one car on the driveway at any one time. Every 10 minutes, 20 minutes. That's the size and scope of this type of development. It's not.
That ultimately may work in the favor of the applicant in this particular case because there's so great concern of the traffic issues, but that may be, you know, something that we need to take into consideration. But it doesn't minimize our concerns in general of that particular area of town and the traffic.
And I think DOT is well aware of that section. I think David had indicated previously that he worked with the department years ago on a potential realignment of Greenville and Pleasant View that they squashed. But, you know, to simplify the intersections and make it more efficient and safer.
And I'm not sure if it was part of your analysis, but was there an analysis at all of the amount of accidents, you know, with the roadways abutting this particular area during rush hour, people trying to take left-hand turns onto 44 in that area and accidents? Did that come up at all in your analysis?
We reviewed data in the area, yes.
And what was the end result?
It's typical, you know, rear end type crashes. That's the predominant at the traffic signals.
Not so much rear end, but traffic trying to take a left-hand turn onto 44 against oncoming traffic.
No, I didn't. The thing is, at West Cottage, nobody takes a left turn. You have one person taking a left turn and 20 people going right. That's why the level of service on the side street is good, because no one turns left.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, I think from the board's perspective about the concern of a right turn or another mitigation measure, you can put that as part of a recommendation that the applicant submit it with their application to DOT.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is anyone on the board back when the CVS Plaza, the Papagenos, where there are right-hand turn onlys in that area for probably this particular reason?
But I think they give another way out. If you want to go in the other direction, there is a way to get out, to head without. What we're doing was, what we're proposing is that you got to take the right turn, and then you've got to go down to Navigant, and then turn around at Navigant and head the other way, something like that.
A traffic light or
Something, yeah.
Cedar Swamp Road.
And I also equated to one of the issues that came up at one point. I think this board had it also. It's across from the Churchill and Banks property. The gentleman trying to build across the street, he needs a light over there. So during the process of both, I think, planning and zoning, the traffic studies and reports reflected that there had to be a light there in order to make that movement safe. So if during the course of peer review of the regular application, something came up definitively should be done, then I think you could make that a condition of the approval. But at this point, not without anybody saying an opinion that there needs to only be a right-hand turn, I'm not sure you can make it the condition. If they showed up and said, we definitely need a light at West Cottage in order to make this work, you could make it a condition then, because traffic engineering is going to send that to, they have to send that to DOT that way. But in this situation, I don't think you're reflecting that. And that's probably something that came up similar as Richard was saying with CVS. Over time, they had other ways in, other ways out, so you could make certain conditions.
Mr. Chairman, and we're happy to ask DOT for the things that the town wants. We will advocate for that, but they have to do their analysis, and it's either going to be warranted or not warranted, and that's not within our purview. But with that, if you have any other questions for us, we'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise,
But at what point are we making it better, right? I mean, the DOT could say, no, it's not necessary, but if we feel that it's, I mean, it's like building codes, right? I mean, building codes are minimum, and, some would say you can go above and beyond, and you're not doing any harm, as long as you're not doing any harm. And if we're not doing any harm.
but I don't know if you are, because I'm not an expert, you're not an expert. We have experts here, and there are experts at DOT, so we can't say that it's going to be better to have a right turn only. I can't say that. And I don't know if
Well, I
anyone.
can say that you're probably not going to get,
What's
you're
that?
not going to get.
They're on roads like this for a reason.
Absolutely, they absolutely are. And they're there when they get approved by DOT on state roads anyway. So, but we're happy to close at this point and leave it to public comment and be available for additional questions.
You got additional work to do before you're looking for a vote, is that correct?
So we did have a conversation with the solicitor. It appears that your ordinance requires a technical review committee meeting. So they're asking that we continue the matter so they can have that TRC meeting.
As well as running the SIM
Oh, of
analysis?
course. Yeah, we'll have all of that, yeah.
Okay.
And I'd like the peer reviewer and our traffic expert to talk to each other so that perhaps, we can come up with a final report.
Catherine?
I'd like to see some more investigation going into the right-of-way at the back of the property. Even if we could make it, if it's only 15 feet wide, it could be passage for a car either down or up. And why, I think somebody said something about being like a 30-degree angle or whatever. We've had many projects that are even worse than that.
You mean,
an exit only or an entrance
Entrance
only,
only.
and see what that does to the traffic,
Yeah.
how it impacts the traffic, affects the traffic on 44. I mean, I'm sure they could,
Let's hear
they
from
could
Mr.
plug,
Bannon on this suggestion.
I'm sure they could plug that into their computer, you know?
Did you hear the question?
You're suggesting exit only?
Using the right-of-way as either an exit only or an entrance only.
An exit only would do nothing for you. You're going to take a right out of our site, go down, if you're going down Greenville Ave, you're going to go down to Commerce, take a right, versus taking a left on Greenville in the back door. So it's not eliminating a left turn that we're trying to address, so.
Would you like it addressed?
I like it addressed.
All right.
So I know there were members we're going to open it up for public hearing. It's 7:05. If anyone from the public would like to be heard, please come forward. State your name. We're going to swear you in.
Good evening. It's Matthew Faig, 247 Old County Road.
And you swear to tell the truth, the whole
I do,
truth,
sir.
nothing but the truth.
Just starting off, respectfully, council started out tonight, her first words were, "It's a tough site." I think we all know it's a tough site. Again, peer reviews brought up a few issues, pushing back a little bit, so they got some homework to do. Just thinking, crash data. Are we looking at 1 year, 5 years? The school was there at one point. The traffic backup going westbound, sun glare, all the way down to probably Crest View, if not further when you're coming over the hill. Was there a traffic study or a vehicle in motion data done where you're getting the average speed going both eastbound and westbound? Because anybody knows when you're sitting there, and I got a public safety background, certified in speed estimation. Cars are doing well over the speed limit going eastbound, and they're also jockeying for position going up the hill, right where the proposed entrance and the exit of this facility is going to be. The crash data there, whether it's coming out of the intersection or if it's rear ends on the 44th section of the roadway, again, I think the study was done on a Thursday. What's the data on a Friday night? What about a Saturday? Traffic in the morning, the number of cars going up and down that road. It is the main thoroughway up to Points West to Connecticut. It's the main thoroughway straight to Providence and 295. The site picture itself, I'm not sure what your plan is with snow removal. Are they going to push it across 44? The other discussion about the right-of-way going down to Greenville Avenue in the back, if you do open that up, people now are going to get hung up at the traffic light at Pleasant View and then decide to cut down, is it Hattie Street, down to that right-of-way to maybe get to Greenville Avenue. So now you're kind of exasperating the traffic in a neighborhood that currently, maybe if you're coming out to 44 and you're trying to make that left-hand turn, which was addressed by the state and the Smithfield Police, and that resulted in 0 corrections at this time. The data, I didn't see any data up there that takes in that intersection. Why wasn't Greenville Avenue on there? It's probably the major choke point there. Has anybody in the planning board sat on Pleasant View Avenue and watched somebody cross when they hit the button that changes the light? You take a right to go westbound on Green, and the person's crossing in front of you. So if these people that live in this house want to go get exercise at the high school or go walk the track, are they going to cross there? Are they going to cross at the cross and walk right by the library, which right now is just marked with a sign. It's not lit up. Again, going to and from my place of employment up and down 44 on a daily basis, watching people stuck in traffic to go westbound that cut through the library on a routine basis. If you limit traffic coming out to a right-of-way, Mr. D'Ambert picked up on it, what's going to happen on the exit side? Are people going to now decide to come out of the one-way on Hattie, which is what the entrance in? So now they're going to come out to take a left there. So if you're coming into this complex and you're following the rules and you want to take a left to go into your complex, somebody now says, well, I don't want to go eastbound, I want to go left. So now they're sitting, tying up the traffic there, creating another choke point. The don't block the box thing's a pretty good idea, but it's not going to in my estimate, it's not going to work there because that's for like a major intersection when there's a traffic light. They don't want you blocking the light, holding up the signals. So, and again, it says that it's enforced. Is the Smithfield Police Department going to go out there and write tickets to the motoring public because we put this box in the middle of 44 trying to redirect or slow down traffic or keep it from blocking the intersections? If people are going to be living here, who's going to maintain the sidewalks if they do decide to walk to get a coffee down by Ace Rockies, or if they want to cross the road and go over to the library? So I think snow removal, the sidewalks, and again, the footprint, it just seems like there's a lot going on there. And the traffic, you're not going to control the traffic on 44. The least traffic that you are going to be able to control is the cars going in and out of the facility. And again, I think Ms. Lynn picked up on the affordable housing senior residents. I think she said, the director said she already had a list. I would have came here tonight saying, hey, I have 60 town residents that are ready to at least be interested in living here. Who's on the list? What communities, where was the list established, and how did people put their names on it? So I didn't see an advertisement saying, hey, proposal, you can put your name on this list, get on this waiting list. We're going to build this wonderful facility. Mr. Secoshio does great work. The project looks great, but I think the footprint's a little too small for this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jessica Ogrim, and I live on 7 West Cottage Avenue.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes. So good evening, my name is Jessica, and I've lived on West Cottage Avenue since 2017. I was fortunate to walk my oldest daughter to William Windsor School for 4 years before it closed. Since then, I've watched children in our neighborhood use the playground and open space behind the school for biking, sports, learning to drive, and simply being kids. I want to express my deep disappointment that the town is even considering removing the only green space available on that side of 44. If the land is developed, our children will lose the last walkable area where they can safely play. It's disheartening to see yet another community space potentially replaced with dense housing rather than being preserved or repurposed for the public good. And I know at the meeting that they held the other night, many of my neighbors asked, like, what is the benefit to our neighborhood? And really the only answer was senior housing, like affordable senior housing, which is a benefit to all, but like, what is the benefit to our neighborhood? Because we're losing something now that's already a benefit to our neighborhood, which is space for children. When I first heard that Windsor might be converted into housing, I was open and hopeful even. The idea of reusing the existing building made sense. But as the project has grown, so is my concern. Transforming the school into apartments is reasonable, but the addition of an entirely new building feels excessive and out of scale with the neighborhood. The project would strip away privacy from nearby homes, worsen traffic in an already overwhelmed area, and squeeze 50-plus units onto a small parcel to meet the developer's funding needs. Gemini may already have a purchase and sales agreement with the town, but that doesn't mean that we must simply accept a plan that keeps expanding beyond what's appropriate. The tone of their presentation, especially at the last meeting, felt less like collaboration and more like pressure. We can build new housing without compromising the character and livability of our neighborhood. And of course, there's the traffic. I feel like the traffic study provided was inadequate and misleading. One statement claimed, and was again claimed today, that everyone turns right. We don't have a choice. Of course, we always have to turn right because we cannot turn left, ever. Like, it's so rare that we can actually take a left turn off of our street. And so most of us, especially if we're going to Pleasant View, take a right and then use the library. And while I might be respectful driving through the library, it's a crosswalk right there for the patrons of the library to cross to get in. So you're going to have more people potentially cutting through the library and risking the patrons that are there. Excuse me. I recently had a near miss at the intersection coming off of my street, despite a police officer being parked right at their proposed exit, there was a police officer right there, and I had an opening. This was just the other morning, and like, it was clear. The top of the hill was clear, and as soon as I turned, someone came flying over the hill, probably going like 50, and they almost hit me, and the police officer did nothing. So, as a driver, oh, no, sorry. So speeding is rampant on 44, and enforcement is non-existent. As a driver who strictly adheres to the posted speed limits on Putnam Pike, I'm regularly tailgated, honked at, or passed, especially when turning onto my own street. The area is not safe now, and adding additional vehicles will only worsen the situation. And it was suggested at the last meeting that they, would kind of push people to use Greenville Ave, but Greenville Ave would be a great area to do a left turn study because we already know what it's like there. We hear accidents all the time. We see them all the time. And taking a right off of Greenville Avenue is just as bad because people create 2 lanes there. It really limits visibility for both parties, whether they're turning left or right. And so often you're taking a right-hand turn, which you have to take wide because the lanes are so narrow. And you avoid near misses with people that are in the next lane over. Additionally, for traffic coming eastbound on 44, oftentimes people are stuck behind, a person turning left onto Pleasant View Avenue, and you think you have an opening to turn right off of our street, and then someone whips around that car to go by. So there's a lot of that. Gemini's suggestion that a 55-plus community would generate minimal traffic during peak hours seems kind of misleading. Many people between 55 and 70 are still working full-time and are just as active as younger residents. My own neighbors, who are over 55, come and go multiple times per day. And I'm sure that many people here are over 55 and work full-time jobs. They leave in the morning and they come home in the afternoon. Delays turning onto and off of West Cottage already back up traffic on Putnam Pike. So if you're waiting to turn onto our street coming westbound, it does back up behind you because you don't always have an opening. And right now, we are fortunate that we have the privilege of turning into the school at their proposed exit so that if there's an opening that we can see before getting up to our street, we're able to kind of use that rather than having people wait behind us to turn. And I don't feel like any traffic study can take into account all of those things that you see every day when you're turning on and off of our street. Speeding on West Cottage Avenue would be another serious concern. There are currently 5 children living on the street. If this development proceeds, speed humps or other traffic calming measures must be implemented. And please don't make it a cut through. Even one lane going one way all the way down to Greenville Avenue. People from Putnam Pike would use it. Like, it would just become a crazy through street to get to Greenville Avenue. And I mean, we live on a dead end street, and that's been what we've been used to for all these years. So having hundreds of people cut through a day is just horrifying to think about. Pedestrian safety is also being ignored. Crossing Putnam Pike is extremely dangerous. I do it once a year for the Deerfield fireworks, and every time it feels like a gamble with my life. None of the crosswalks are properly protected by lights. The one near the library is essentially useless, located just past the crest of a hill. The Cedar Spill crosswalk, so right across from Cedar Spill, gives the walk signal at the same time that traffic turning off of Pleasant View Avenue has a green light. And I myself have been waiting to turn onto Putnam Pike from Pleasant View and didn't see that there was somebody crossing and like tooted at the person in front of me because I don't know why they're not going. So it builds frustration for all the people behind because the light is green and they have no idea why the people in front of them aren't going. Additional concerns raised by neighbors, trash, snow removal, and smoking are also being overlooked. Gemini said the property would be smoke-free, but then today they said they're gonna add a smoking area, so I don't know if it's smoke-free or not. But when Windsor was still open, which was also smoke-free, we constantly pick up cigarette butts thrown from cars, 25 or more per week in our driveway and yard alone. This is a serious concern as every person entering the property will be entering via West Cottage. So when they're entering their property to go home, they throw their cigarette out the window. Dumpsters are another issue. They attract pests, create odor, and scatter trash into nearby yards. Again, speaking from experience, we've had them at Windsor and there was trash frequently flying all over. The current plans do not show sufficient space for snow storage either. Every square foot is taken up. Pushing snow onto town-owned property behind the school is not a solution. Large piles of snow at the top of West Cottage eventually melt and freeze at the bottom, creating hazardous conditions. I urge the town to seriously reconsider the scale of this project. If Gemini cannot secure funding for a more modest and appropriate development, then perhaps this is simply not the right location. Our community deserves better than to be boxed in and bulldozed over for the sake of maximum density. Please preserve the integrity of our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. If you could state your name and address, please.
Chelsea Labossiere, Chelseylabossiere, and I live at 11 West Cottage Avenue.
Okay, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do. I was very emotional the last time I was here, and I apologize, but I hope you guys soon understand why. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and neighbors. My name is Chelsea Labossiere, and I live on West Cottage Avenue with my husband and our 2 young children. I am here tonight not as a homeowner. I am here tonight not as a homeowner, but as a mother, a neighbor, and someone who chose Smithfield as the place to raise my family. When I moved from California to Rhode Island in 2009, I was introduced to Smithfield and quickly fell in love with this town. The sense of community, the warmth of longtime residents, many of whom I now call friends, and the character of Smithfield made it clear that this is where I want to raise my children. In 2020, my husband and I built our forever home directly across from the school, tucked back on a quiet corner lot that felt private, peaceful, and safe, an ideal place for us to raise our girls. After meeting with the Gemini Group Tuesday afternoon and hearing both the neighbors' concerns and Gemini's proposed solutions, my husband and I carefully weighed the pros and cons of this project. Late that night, we even drove to 2 other local locations that the Gemini currently own and operates, both on much larger lots of land and not nearly as close proximity with homes as this project would be. Even without knowing what other developments might be proposed in the future, we still strongly feel that given the magnitude and scale of Gemini's project, it is not appropriate for our neighborhood. I want to be clear, I am not against affordable housing. I believe we can and should find ways to provide it, but this project in this particular location is not the right fit for our neighborhood. One of my greatest concerns is traffic and safety. Even when the school was open, congestion was constant, driveways were blocked, parking rules ignored, and litter scattered across the yards. The only reason it improved was because the school administration stepped in and enforced order. With these being apartments, there could be constant turnover, so now we face having to deal with the same problems every time a new tenant or a new visitor arrives, month after month, year after year. Traffic is already dangerous in front of West Cottage Avenue. Turning left from that intersection is nearly impossible without risking your safety, but even turning onto our street, whether left or right, is hazardous at all hours of the day. I have personally been almost rear-ended several times by drivers who were speeding, impatient, and unwilling to yield in order for me to turn. It is an accident waiting to happen for someone whose reflexes aren't as quick, and adding dozens of new vehicles to that stretch will only make it worse. I also have concerns with this new proposed right turn only out of their side of the property. How many tenants or visitors who don't want to abide by that right turn only will go back out of the entrance only, thinking that if they do so quickly, no one will notice, and disregard the signs stating that they cannot do so? I've seen people do this before in other parking lots and fear it will become a safety concern for our families. Everyone can read, but not everyone abides, unfortunately, when it doesn't benefit them. This project also eliminates the only park and large field available on our side of 44. This would directly and personally affect my home. My driveway sits at an incline, and when I drive up and out, I cannot see what is in front of my vehicle until I'm already onto the parking lot and no longer at an incline. If the only field and blacktop area is greatly decreased and pushed right up against my property line, families and children will inevitably be playing close to my driveway and my home. I am deeply concerned that one day I may pull up and not see a child playing, elderly person walking, or someone parked too close, and it would be an accident waiting to happen. I tried explaining this to the Gemini Group, but their response was to show us where their property line ends, and that it would not be their concern, as it is not their land, it's yours. As my neighbor already addressed, I am also concerned about the placement of the dumpsters and snow. They have now moved them closer to my home, and there was no mention of snow removal, which was a large concern. I would also like to stress how terrible I feel for the abutting neighbors, whose privacy will be stripped away if this large addition is built. Right now, they enjoy backyards that are private and peaceful, with multi-story buildings looming over them. Even with Gemini's new proposal, residents in this building would still be able to look directly over into the homeowners' yards and homes at any time of day. No one who has worked hard to build their home and end their life here should have to lose that basic sense of privacy. There is also a nighttime safety factor that has not been fully addressed. Gemini did state that their parking lot would be well lit, which is appreciated, although it is also nerve-wracking because we must rely on their word that this lighting will not affect any of us or shine into our homes at all hours of the night. However, anytime a resident raised concerns about land that will not be owned by them, such as the field, the blacktop area in front of my home, or the pathway next to my home connecting us to Greenville Avenue, which are still town property, they indicated it is not their responsibility to ensure it is safe and well-maintained, and that we would need to address all concerns and future problems with the town. How long will it be before a tenant or visitor walks down that unstable path trying to avoid the main road and breaks their neck? I have slipped and fell many times when just walking down to get my daughter off the bus because it is so unstable and slippery. Right now, I take comfort in knowing that police officers regularly patrol the school and parking lot at night. Their presence deters loitering and ensures the space remains calm and quiet after hours. If this project is built as planned, with the field and open blacktop pushed further back and hidden behind the large buildings with tree coverage, it will create a dark, secluded area in the corner that is far easier for people to use for the wrong reasons. I do not want to look out of my window and wonder who is parked outside of my home at night, hidden from view, doing who knows what. The scale of this project is simply too large. Renovating the existing school building might have been reasonable, but adding a brand-new structure and packing 50-plus units into this small parcel pushes the limits of what the land in our street can handle. The result will be overcrowding, constant vehicle activity, and a complete loss of the quiet character that makes the neighborhood worth living in. We are not opposed to progress. We are asking for responsible progress, development that balance the needs of future residents with the safety, character, and well-being of those who have already lived here. If Gemini cannot make this project financially viable without expanding it to this extreme, then perhaps this location is simply not appropriate. Please protect the integrity of this neighborhood, the safety of our families, and the quality of life that makes Smithfield a place people want to stay for generations. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
My name is Michaela Annalundi. I can spell it Michaela, last name Anelundi, and I live at 13 Hattie Avenue.
Okay, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do. So I just want to reiterate the traffic and safety concerns. I know it might be, or I hope it's not getting too redundant, but it is a major concern for all of us in the area, and I hope for all of us in Smithfield itself. Although data-driven, the traffic study, I respect all of the work. I am not an expert. It's still a prediction. So what happens if this prediction doesn't go as planned? And this could be said for anything, the weather, I mean, that's a prediction. What happens then? Because now we have a problem on our hands. We already have all this traffic and there's nothing to do about it. It was mentioned that the extensive project would take quite a while, obviously. But what happens with all of the construction trucks in the meantime? So now we have years upon years of construction that is going on for a project of this scale, and that's just going to further cause an issue with all of the traffic on 44 as well. Last month, during the traffic study, it was discussed that we shouldn't really worry about pedestrians. There would be minimal issues with those, minimal issues with the cars, and buses weren't brought up either. So if these people that are living at the community are not driving cars and they're not walking, they're, I'm guessing, going to take the bus. Again, not an expert, but now I do notice that there's a bus stop right outside of that area, outside of the proposed Windsor Apartments. Does that bus now stall all of the traffic as well? There's the proposed one-way due to light proximity. I believe it was called sight distance. I jotted that down real quick. What about the site distance from the proposed exit of the building to Hattie Avenue? Is that the allotted 500 or minimum 250 feet? I don't know, again, not an expert. Also, the 55-plus age requirements. I know this was brought up previously, but 67 years old is the average age for retirement according to the government. As we know, that's much higher just due to the economy and everything. Lastly, for not just this last bullet, sorry. Why are we increasing the number of parking spaces as proposed last month if the cars that are going to be traveling in and out are so minimal? What is the requirement for those excess parking spaces, if not for more transportation and further disruption of the traffic in and out of the complex? Another point I'd like to bring up is in July of 2024, the Valley Breeze stated that preference could not be given to Smithfield residents based on the funding that would be received for this project. And it was even open to out-of-state residents as an option. So read that this morning, wasn't too pleased because of course I want to support the community as a new member of the Smithfield community. And lastly, because I can't stop talking about this, my concern is that Hattie Avenue will become a cut-through street. So if the traffic on 44 is having a little bit of difficulty, they already start to drive through Hattie to get to Greenville Avenue. Don't see it too often, but it's becoming a bit more of a problem as this year goes on, the school year starts up. And what about this new complex? If everybody is supposed to turn right and they actually wanted to turn left to get to Greenville, now they're going to cut through Hattie Avenue as well. So now we have even more traffic on a street that is full of families. I don't know many of the families myself, but I do know when I'm on walks with my husband, I see children everywhere, and they're very, very young. There's a family across from us that rides their bike all the time in the street. I watch from my kitchen window just to make sure they're doing okay, but it's scary. When the cars come by, they come by fast. So I'd like you to take this into consideration as you're mulling over all of everything everyone has said. Although I don't have family ties to the community yet, this is a big concern, just the safety of everyone involved. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Barbara Rich. I live at 9 West Cottage Avenue, and clearly I have not been here for a very short period of time. I've been here since 1993 at that address.
Can I swear you in?
Yes, you may.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do. Rich. So I've been here since 93. That was, if anybody else remembers, and a lot of you probably do, Stop and Shop was not there. The mall was not there. And when that person said that there was less traffic going up and down 44, I don't know who's lying or who's read the wrong report, but since I've lived there, it was very quiet, and then trucks, they come from east and west, going down 44, and no one goes 35 on 44. The safety officer in Smithfield told me that the average speed from around A&W and uphill is 47 miles an hour. So we already know that. So some of the things that I thought would be really great, and I've seen this since I've been there for so long, is that you could put a flashing light for the crosswalk to the library that flashes when someone does that. I think they have them on Mineral Spring Avenue, not far from the schools or from maybe the library. You could also put safety speed cameras. You could take pictures of the cars that go through the red lights. I am at the intersection of 116 and that's Pleasant View and 44 at least twice a day, sometimes 4 times a day. I very rarely turn left out of West Cottage Ave and then turn to Pleasant View. My car was T-boned at 6 o'clock in the morning coming from Pleasant View to turn left at the green light, and the car that hit me came barreling through, no skid marks, nothing, hit me And that was at 6 o'clock in the morning, so my 11-month-old car. So, and I take that intersection so I can turn right into West Cottage Ave, because it's almost impossible. So I would say that the traffic problem is terrible, and they really should be doing things right now, much less wait until this development is either built or not built. So that really, the right-of-way. The right-of-way, when the school was there, they did generally take care of it, because it's bedrock. First of all, at one time, there was a suggestion by the state that they move Hattie over to the left, which meant they would take, over to the right, if you're looking at it, which meant they were going to take our houses and the vet's office, and they were going to move the street and put the school, which was still a school, in sort of a traffic pattern, like an island. And the cars that would come from 116 would go across and come down onto Greenville Avenue. No one on Greenville Avenue wanted that, because it was going to be lots of traffic. And, well, nobody ever made an offer for our houses, because they decided that wasn't the best idea. But the right-of-way it's a nice, convenient walk down to Greenville Avenue. It could use a little bit more care. It wasn't too bad when the school was there. They put in some stone dust or stone, but it washes out with the rains that we've had recently. So I asked the developers about the water problem, because the water, when we have the rains that we've had, it runs from the raised school down across the street. And we now have berms there on the side of the street where the houses are, but it just funnels right out to Greenville Ave. And it's flooding. Out to 44. They said that would actually take care of the development, because they would put in drains and stuff. So at least there was that concern. So that's it for me. Again, the traffic and everything else. And we definitely have more congestion. Citizens also has created the Citizens Bank and that new 295, call it new, 295 entrance ramp. Everybody who now goes, and you would ask in Johnston, everybody comes off that entrance or exit and goes to North Situate and Situate by way of Windsor Ave in Johnston. So it's very congested. Thank you.
Tanya Alexander. Address? 22 was Spring Pine Terrace. 22 was Spring Pine, Greenville.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes. Okay. So, first of all, I want to say, I feel like here we go again. Back 20 years ago, I was at the meeting when they were discussing taking those homes by eminent domain to create that cut through or whatever for their road. And the residents all came together and that was stopped. I was very sad when I heard Windsor School was closing, because my kids did attend Windsor School. It was a great school, and I was one that fought Windsor School closing. Then when I read about the elderly housing going into the school, initially I thought it was just going to be they were going to repurpose the school. And I was like, well, okay. But then I saw what the project is going to be. And the traffic, I don't know where you did your traffic studies or who did the traffic studies, but we live probably about 5 blocks before the Windsor School. And there are days when the traffic backs up to my street. So clearly, most of you do not live in Greenville. I live in Greenville, not far from there. So I'm not sure when you did the traffic studies, or if you did the traffic studies comparing when Windsor School or a school was open compared to doing it during the COVID years. But I can tell you right now, there are times traffic backs up to almost my street. So traffic is a major concern. Next, you were talking about, someone said that you had said people don't walk. My husband and I walk almost every day. At least 3 to 5 times a week, we're out there walking, and we cross 44. And I can tell you right now, we hold our breath every time we cross 44. It's not safe now, and I can't even imagine adding all those cars onto the road. So whoever said safety is not a concern or traffic's not a concern, as a resident who lives before the development you're proposing, I can tell you right now, it is a concern. Next, somebody mentioned the dumpsters going in. I'm concerned for the residents on West Cottage Ave because it's not fair to them to the placements of the dumpsters. With dumpsters, you're looking at an increase in rats, and that's not fair to them. They are residents of this community, and as the zoning board, you should be protecting the residents of this community, not the builders. Next, I just want to make sure I touch that. And then the other thing, I want to go back to the traffic. What you haven't taken into account and consideration is the fact that not only is traffic is building, expanding in Smithfield, it's also expanding into Situate, Gloucester, Foster, and Burrville. And they all get there through 44. So 44 is constantly getting more and more backed up. And then what I personally feel as though Windsor School should be repurposed as, honestly, the current school admin building really can barely adequately staff the admin. They should probably switch out admin, Smithfield School admin, at the admin building they now have, move them to Windsor, and then make that a vacant building. But that's just a thought for the future, and I think that that makes more sense. And then when parents come in to register their children, there's a playground there for the kids to play at. I work for a school department, and I'm not sure why that was never thought of. Anyway, thank you for your time and your consideration, and please remember, traffic is a major concern. We live like 3 blocks before there. Safety is a concern. People do walk, so it's pretty presumptuous of you to think that people do not go out there walking. We do still walk. Thank you.
Nicholas Ranucci, 13 Hattie Ave in Greenville.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do. RANUCCI. So when I spoke with members of Gemini, what they said was this was going to be housing for grandmas and grandpas. They would have to put up 80% of the median income, and that Smithfield residents would receive preferential treatment. Upon the board meeting, I learned that none of those 3 things were true, as the age is 55 plus, which is not what I consider to be a grandma or grandpa. The median income that the resident would have to put up, while some might be 80, there will also be 30% and 50% units, and that no preference can be given to Smithfield residents. So it feels like they're cherry picking stats just to get the board's approval. And then saying 1 additional trip every 10 to 20 minutes during peak times, when their own traffic study from the last board meeting, if you do out the math, would come to there would be someone entering or exiting this premises every 4 to 6 minutes. So how do we go from 4 to 6 to 10 to 20 in one board meeting? I'd like to reiterate the points made about if we make this 1 lane only, the traffic that would turn onto Hattie Avenue. So if you can't go left when exiting the premises, but you intend to go left to get to Greenville Ave, you can just take the right onto Hattie, cut through Windsor, and get there that way. And of about like the 10 houses, when you first go onto Hattie, about 8 of them have children that I would consider to be 10 years or younger. So I'd just like the board to take all this into consideration before they approve this project.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Oscillo, are we keeping public comment open if the matter is continued?
Yes,
So we're not going to close public comment?
correct.
Can I ask a question?
I think we can address a couple of the issues that were mentioned, and I think some of the neighbors might have gotten here a little bit late, so they might not have seen the changes that we've made. So I think we should, can you come up, David? I wanted David D'Amico to talk about snow removal. Just remind you that we've changed the dumpster location. I mean, we've talked a lot about traffic tonight. I mean, I don't know, I mean, if you want to ask us more questions about comments from the neighbors, we can certainly do that, but I just thought we should respond to some of the newer items. Oh, yes, sir.
Good evening, board members. David D'Amico Engineering Technologies with offices at 2080 Mineral Spring Avenue in North Providence. I am the civil engineer of record right now on this project, so.
Let me swear you in.
Excuse me?
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Sir. Originally, we've submitted the plan with the dumpster in this location. We heard the residents. The reason why we originally had the dumpster in this location is because it ended up being an easy access for the residents to get to it. We tend to look inward when we're doing the design, but, having the neighborhood meeting was very productive. So we've moved that. That was, and I'll just go to the next. So what we did was we were able to find a spot in this location, which we will aggressively, we have plenty of room here to plant with arborvitaes, and we just ended up putting the 3 parking spaces right in this area. So though it is a little bit more of a walk away for the residents, it definitely, the concern was this home right here that with the dumpster enclosure there. So that's a dumpster enclosure with, oblique fence. And then, of course, Mark talked about the, putting the fence, the buffer there and whatnot. Well, essentially, we would follow the town ordinance on lighting, so we will end up doing a lighting plan that will show no light illuminance over the property line. So we will not be, these residents right here would really be the concern because they're right up against they abut directly. So we would not be able to have the candle light go across the property line. One other thing I do want to mention that I heard from the residents is that this area here is pretty much all impervious pavement. It was the play yard, or the playground, excuse me. And this area here, back here, is another over an acre lot, and most of it is grass, and that would remain the same. So there is the grass area, in essence, is remaining. We're not really taking any grass. This is pretty much all impermeable right now. And we're going to go in with we're going to design the permeable pavement and, of course, aggressively landscape the perimeter and then inside the courtyard area. So it should be a really pretty development.
I don't think so. The only other thing I wanted to address was the comment about maybe you could show them where it is. The stairway that you asked us to look at for another egress. You may remember that you asked us to look at that, and we determined that it was too narrow. I just want to be clear that we.
Oh, you're talking
Yeah.
about the access.
Yeah, but there's a stairway there.
Right.
Right.
Right, so here's the 50, and everybody's talking about this 15-foot easement. That's it right there. That goes down on a couple of angles. It kind of angles down and gets down to Greenville Avenue. There's a crosswalk there, you're probably all familiar, and a concrete stairway. That was obviously used for the children to get up to the school. So,
And I just wanted to add that I wouldn't characterize our response as somewhat dismissive as it was characterized. What we said is that is not our property. We can't do anything with that. And we actually said to them, contact your town officials because I guess it's in a dilapidated state and it might need some repairs. So we encourage them to contact the town, but certainly, it's just not on our property. We can't improve that. So I just wanted to be clear on that. But that's all I think were new comments, unless you heard anything else. So with that.
So we want to continue this.
Mr. Chairman.
You got a question? Yes, of course.
I'd like to question of Sharice Miller, if I could. With this type of development being created and the funding, what is the normal process for determining who the residents are?
For determining who residents are?
Is it just strictly off the list by who got on the list for that, or is there must be a process for determining that?
So in that situation, it's date and time of application.
Okay.
And
So,
it's, the waiting list is advertised.
Yep.
What I had mentioned earlier was the waiting list that we currently have for the housing that we currently
Yep.
manage. So sometimes families would be interested in applying at other locations, even if they're living at our property here that we have already. So that's kind of why I mentioned the
So
waiting list.
is it an open application right now with this
No.
possibly happening? So there's
No, it
nothing right
can't
now?
happen right now. There is a point in time where we would advertise and that hasn't.
Okay, and it's of whoever gets on that list first,
Right, and
basically.
they would see it either on where we're required to advertise when the time comes. They would see it, they would inquire with us, pick up an application, and they would apply it.
And they have the requirements of the income and all that process.
There are
also.
income limit requirements. There are different tiers of income limits in that property, so it would be based on that, and they would have to be eligible and within those income limits.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Excuse me, I have a question. Can non-Rhode Islanders access this?
It is my understanding that we do not have a preference for this particular Windsor School development, so it's open to the public. Residents can apply if they'd like to, and non-residents can apply as well.
So out-of-state residents?
Any open to the public.
Anyone any
Anyone can
United
apply.
States citizen?
Yes, and they would have to
Okay.
be eligible.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not sure if someone wants to come and, a member of the public.
Public's comment's still open, public hearing's still open, just I'd keep it limited.
Okay, very limited.
I forgot to ask about pets, because if we've had lots of problems in the neighborhood with cats that get abandoned or left, maybe because of the school, and if they have dogs that they're going to walk, there's not very much green space, and walking on 44 is pretty tough. So I didn't know, I didn't ask the developers if they allowed pets. That would be my last question.
Just one follow-up question.
Jessica. Are there background checks or can like sex offenders live there? Background checks or sex offenders, can they live there?
That's up to council whether she wants to have that addressed.
I have one more question. Tanya Alexander. Just going back to, I was thinking, one of the women before asked about water, and I guess the builders, the developers had said that they're putting drains in. However, knowing the
physics of water, you move it from one place, it goes to another. So unless the builders are going in and physically putting French drains into your house, the site that they're building will be water-free, but it's got to go somewhere. So, because I know of other developments in which there have been issues, and I believe the residents were, I think, going to sue the town or whatever. So I do know that that is an issue as well.
To answer the question regarding background checks, yes, we do. We do background checks on all the applicants, and we do landlord references if they have a rental history as well, just to determine if they have ever been evicted or pay their rent on time.
Do you determine if there's pets allowed? Is that part of your process?
We do. I think it is up to the owner, but we haven't even gotten that far in conversation with regard to pets or.
Thank you.
Of who?
In regards to the lighting, I don't know where that gentleman is.
Right here.
Okay. You had said that it won't, I know that it was a concern of the residents, the lighting.
Yes, sir.
And you said,
they
yeah,
mentioned it.
and you said that it won't bother them at all?
Oh, I said we would be compliant, what do they call it, dark sky compliant.
Okay.
No candle light over the property line. That is something that we go through. I don't do that. I am not the expert on that.
Okay.
I give my site, my AutoCAD to a company, usually the electrical engineers. They put their fixtures up there, and they
Okay.
have to, they do an analysis, and generally, that's something that the town engineer would look at to make sure that we're at zero going across. Now, you can see a light, right, but it's not illuminating over your property.
So could I see an example of that somewhere? Could you tell me where that's used?
You can go to Bryant University. Joe Casale's engineers had a design, dark sky lighting all throughout Bryant.
All right, maybe you and I can take a ride up there.
Man, I'm sure your other developments along 44 are dark sky compliant, I'm sure.
Explain what dark,
Yes, yeah.
explain what dark sky means.
Well, essentially, it's say we were flying over, we would not see the light if we were flying over.
Right.
So it's usually, there is a hood over the fixture that shines the light down to where we need to see it. We don't need the light, obviously, 300 feet up. You and I need it on the ground. So that's what that dark sky does for us. And the fixtures now, you look them up, site fixtures are designed that way. You can't, I don't even know if you can find the old ones that would light up the whole area. So, and they work nice, they're LED, and usually they last a real long time. So that's the dark sky. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? No. So we're going to continue this to the next hearing, which, the next, October what?
16th?
October 16th. For members of the public, today's hearing is notice of the next hearing. There will not be separate notice. And
We will-
five-minute.
We need a motion to do that, but we also need an agreement to continue I think we're under the time to make a decision, so we would need to extend the time to
To that night?
that night for
Yeah,
now.
thank you. Yeah, that's fine, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion?
Yeah, motion to continue till October 16th meeting. Do I need anything to that? Is that good enough?
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
And the clock gets extended.
And the clock is extended also.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All not in favor? The ayes have it. Take a 5-minute recess.
Stand up.
No, I didn't.
I know. Hey, Gary? Gary? Come here. If you want an eye-opening experience, we'll take you right down to George Street and see what's going on here. I delivered books to the library. When Gemini started that development, there was a full-time on-site manager. Then it was down to 3 days. Now it's down to 2 days, but only a couple hours during the day. It's the majority of the people, because I asked them, Ruby,
Yeah, well, we know that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're gonna get out of state. You're gonna get.
and the number of kids living in there now is unbelievable.
Yeah, you're gonna have kids in this over 55 because they've got grandkids, they've got.
Absolutely.
No, this is out of control. It's the whole town is just, it's out of control. It's, that spot is, just the traffic is awful. It's a really bad spot. I mean, I'm for elderly housing. I'd like to see it be for residents. You know, in a nice quiet spot somewhere.
There are so many ask for a variance and grant it, then put it over there where there's plenty of room.
Right. No, we gotta do something with this thing. I don't know. Hi, Joe. Yeah, it's such a pleasure to meet you.
Gary, I think I know you from somewhere. Did you work for the state?
I did.
Did you? I worked at the health department.
Oh my gosh, I ran DHS.
I know.
So nice to see you. Oh, then what did you work for?
Yes, yes.
You guys ready? Okay. You guys all ready? Okay, the next matter, Earl Grey Estates, T-Lots, applicant is requesting an extension of the master plan.
Good evening, Joelle Rocha, attorney for the applicant. I'll be brief on this, but have all my material, happy to answer questions. I know this is a long night for the board. We are here, like the chair said, on an extension of master plan. Let me bring the board up to speed on this. So the master plan approval was, like one of my other projects, inconveniently granted in 2020. Since that time, the owner has done diligence on the site, completed a site survey, which for the 4 members that were on this when it was approved, there's a long history for this site spanning the early 19th century. So the survey has been completed. The wetlands have been reflagged in accordance with the new wetland regulations. The property's was on the market for several years. There has been there was, I would say, the end of last year, the beginning of this year, significant interest in the property, and we talked to several buyers. Ultimately, we're under purchase and sale agreement with a buyer. I have both the owner and the buyer here tonight in case the board has questions. That happened earlier this year. The inspection period just finished yesterday. The buyer has done test pits, all that stuff, has started talking to different, has started doing diligence and having conversations about the utilities at the site. And again, they're here and they can expand on that to see, feasibility, and so we can move into preliminary plan. So the inspection period is closed. We're now in the permitting period. So as the buyer proceeds on that diligence, he'll be back in front of the board with full engineering for the project, whatever that looks like after the full engineering is done. So that is why we're here. I know we've talked on different projects about good cause, because that's where we're at on this. We're out of by right extensions. And that really looks at whether the applicant would be prejudiced, whether there are reasons that I'm presenting, not just here saying, hey, it's great to see everybody. Can we get another year on this project? I think we are in a situation where this is actively being worked on to get to a next stage and get before you. There'll be public hearings. There'll be further details on this project. By way of background for the public and for the board members that weren't around, the lots, these T-lots were over 900 T-lots, like 1,500 square feet each. The result of that, after the town's merger provision, there are about 233 lots at the site after everything's merged. As part of the master plan approval, subsequent to that, the first thing that happened was, and the planning board made a recommendation, was a zoning amendment for a special plan district, which allowed the 140 units with the affordable component at the site. So that zoning is in place as well for this project. So that's where we are. Happy to bring anybody up if the board has questions or has questions of me. But again, I know you have a long night, so, and I'm here too, so.
Any questions of the board members?
After you. How long an extension are you looking?
A year just to be safe. So the next stage for this is we're coming in with, full stormwater design and things like that. So that will probably take, the permitting period is good through next year. So just out of an abundance of caution. You may see the project sooner if there are any changes that need to be made as a result of the wetland flagging or whatever tests have been done. So it could very well be the case they're back before you sooner than that, but we're seeking a year.
Okay, any other questions?
So, Counselor, your letter states that there is a modified master plan that would come before the board?
So if this, so that's how we were proceeding until there was a buyer at the site. So whether they proceed with a modified master plan or straight into preliminary plan, I don't have any control over, but if there were the wetlands reflagging, I think I said this, I don't know if I said this in the letter, I don't have it in front of me, but the wetlands reflagging will result in some of the units that were approved at the, I don't know what direction it is, but I'm going to say the top left hand of the project near the Ridge Road area being moved. So that has to come, whether it comes before you at preliminary or a modified approval. We talked to staff about that. My client, the owner, did have a modified master plan, and then it's under purchase and sale. So how it comes back in what form, I don't know.
So, are you representing the new owner?
I am not. I'm representing the property owner.
Okay.
He doesn't, there's no new owner yet. It's under purchase and sale agreement.
I see. And, but from reading this letter, it sounds like the wetland changes, the changes that the new wetland law has determined may take place, would have to modify the master plan. Is that not correct?
So I guess it depends, right? Is it going to, whether that's a major change or not, which we haven't gotten to that point because we haven't submitted that plan. So I think whether it's those units get moved or they go away is a different, is kind of part of that determination.
Okay, now I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, we have a motion.
Mr. Chair, the board has the right to give this extension. Under the vesting, they have 2 years plus 2 additional years, and then the board can extend it further for good cause.
We have a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to affirm the extension for 1 year.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All not in favor? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Next matter, Amelia's Way, 260 Old County Road, public hearing, request for a continuance.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I was before you last month. We have everything in hand but a physical alteration permit from DOT. I know there were several members on the board going back a few months that let it be known that they would not be comfortable voting on this application unless the PAP was in hand. And so we've been continuing it on a monthly basis. I guess from our standpoint, the glass is half full because DOT finally reviewed our application and they had several comments that Mr. Casale's engineering firm needs to address. And we will address those. We just got those, I believe, Monday, Joe. And we will, Mr. Casale's firm will address those in a timely manner. And we're hoping to have a PAP permit in time for your next meeting. I can't guarantee that you would. I did tell you that I would reach out to the neighbors to the best of my ability. And I did text Mr. Fig, I believe the day before last. Maybe it was yesterday, to let the neighbors know that I would be requesting a continuance so we didn't have to all show up, and he did, and I don't see them here tonight. If you would like to continue it to next month, I would appreciate that. Again, in a perfect world, I'd ask you for approval subject to getting a PAP permit because, but I can see Mr. Moan shaking his head because drainage is such a challenge out here. I would like the full consideration of the board, so I am asking that you could keep continuing this on a monthly basis because nobody wants this PAP permit in hand and a vote from the board more than my client. It's kind of been a year now on a small project that has undergone a lot of engineering scrutiny, more probably than you'd see on a project of this size. So given the facts, I'd ask that you continue it to October, and I guess the sentiment of the board still is that you want that PAP permit in hand before you vote on it. If that's the sentiment of the board, that's what we come in and expecting. Other than that, I'd ask you for a vote next month, whether we have it or not, but again, I think you want that in hand, or at least several members of the board want that in hand before they vote on it. So that's how we're proceeding. So I'm going to ask for a 1-month continuance. Hopefully we have it. If we don't, I will contact Mr. Fag before the meeting again. So Mr. Fag's going to come to meetings no matter what, I believe. But I think the other neighbors won't come if it's going to be continued.
Questions? Okay, we have a motion.
Move to extend.
We have a
Second.
All in favor?
Next month.
You have to say continuing the clock, or is that good? Okay.
So we have a motion, so let's get it right, on that motion to continue with continuing.
With holding the clock. Yeah.
Okay, we have a second, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All not in favor? The ayes have it. Next matter, 219 George Washington Highway, minor subdivision pre-application. I don't think we need to swear you in.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, for the record, Brian Thalman, professional engineer, senior project manager, at least for a couple more weeks with Depreet Engineering, and here on behalf of the owner and applicant, Mark McCure, also known as Remcraft LLC. This was a project that Mr. McCure had started shortly after the pandemic, and then with some economic issues and just some instability overall in the economy, he kind of pumped the brakes, if you will, and he's now started to revisit this. We are here tonight on a pre-application basis. We are in the planned corporate district, but we also fall within that economic growth overlay district within the planned corporate zone. What we're proposing is a mixed use of flex space and office space, which are all permitted by right within the zone. We have started our fieldwork process, and one of the first things that we did is, prior to the wetlands regulation amendment that occurred in 2022, Mr. McCure had the wetlands delineated. The amendment modified some of how the size of wetland buffers is interpreted, and there is a culvert that crosses George Washington Highway approximately right here. And what it does is it now hydraulically connects the wetland complex that's on the northern side of George Washington Highway with that which is on the south. What that does is now, under the new interpretation, it adds an additional 25 foot to the buffer zone. So what Mr. McCure and Remcraft had looked at initially, we've had to modify a bit to now fall within the DEM regulations. We're here tonight, again, on a very informal concept basis. What I'd like to suggest is, knowing how the process works, is I know you folks are very much inclined to do your site walks. I'd like to do that even before we get to the master plan part, which would be our next step in the process. There's a little bit of disconnect between how the economic growth overlay district works within the zoning ordinance versus that, which is a major subdivision now in the planning regulations. There's really not a master plan per se for this type of development. So in order to meet the requirements of the economic growth overlay, our next step would be master plan. So we're here to kind of get any feedback, kind of want to get some sense over what you may want as far as traffic, whether it's going to be a full analysis or whether just simply a safety analysis. We are about 800 feet to the east, to the west of the intersections of Route 7 and 116. There is the auto body shop that's here. There's a vacant parcel or 3 parcels that are here. And then Mr. Conti's parcels are at the corner of one, we call it the southeast corner or southwest corner of 7 and 116.
So what is the development? What are you proposing? I'm sorry.
Flex space, which would be these units here and a portion of this building here, and then office in this, and then office here.
So it's been a little while, but there's certain requirements in the overlay, economic overlay district that if you, my recollection is if you decide to go that route, then you need to follow some of the design criteria, which are materials and different things like that.
Yep.
So this being a storage facility, are you planning on meeting those requirements?
So the criteria is clearly spelled out, and we would be, because we are proposing this as a mixed use, there will be, one of the requirements of master plan is some building elevation. So, we would have to undertake that as part of our next submission process.
Okay, all right. You want to correct me, Michael?
Oh, no. No. Yeah, there's also regulations on percentages of different uses, but this is a true mixed use. It's going to be not, it looks like a storage space, but it's not going to be a storage space.
So that was one of the reasons for focusing the office use immediately up front and making it as big as it is to provide some aesthetics for the flex space.
Well, not just talking about office for the flex space. How flexible is this flex space going to be? This is, I think, the third one we've looked at in the past year.
So I think probably the analogy that I would make is if you were to go about a half mile to the southwest where Appian Way is, there was recently a project that actually came before us at the zoning board for a special use permit for the last parcel that's developed in there by John DeLauro. And the topography on that site is very consistent with what we have here, where there's a kind of a high spot and then it slopes kind of to the west. So the aesthetics on the upper level then lend to what's on the lower level. I mean, is it flex space? Absolutely, but there is a standard that we have to meet, but at the end of the day, it's permitted by right within the economic growth overlay district.
Is there any residential?
No. I think the town probably has enough of that right now.
How many units are?
I think it was 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14 flex units and roughly about 5,000 square feet of office space.
Brian, I had another just general question, because remember when Mike and Richard were doing all these egos, and John, one of the theories way back in the day about this whole ego district was possibility of connectivity between lots to help alleviate traffic or keep traffic, not that I'm saying there's a traffic issue here, but to keep people off the main road as they could get from lot to lot, or, from there to the hotel or things like that.
I think this is an absolute perfect opportunity to do that.
Well, that was my question, is that something that's available? We're dealing with wetlands everywhere to cross over. No one's going to pay money to cross over a wetland to connect. But are there opportunities to connect so that these other lots that seem bare may have ways to connect to each other?
So there was a little method to the madness with what we did down here, with potentially allowing a connection here. Also, if you'll see to the immediate south of the parcel, there is the infamous platted but unimproved Canton City Trail, which then brings you up to the back of Richard Conti's parcel. The utilities, the sewer utility, we're going to connect through Canton City Trail, and it may be that we bring it to, there's a residential subdivision that's a little bit further south of this, which is off the River Boulevard. So there's sewer here, but then there's sewer approximately right here. Our preference would be to connect down here because it avoids a pump, but either way, there's sewer. Water terminates, there's a hydrant on the north side of George Washington Highway, about 250 feet west of the intersection. That would have to be extended. And again, you have the parcel that's on the opposite side of the street at the corner that I'm working on right now, also representing the owner of this parcel here and Mr. McCure. So we have an opportunity to get some collaboration here.
Any other questions or concerns?
I know you've got a lengthy agenda tonight. I'm trying to keep, my presentation, being respectful of those residents who came out tonight. But we will be back.
Thank you.
But I think if we can, while the weather's still good, get the site walk done ahead of the master plan, I think that would be our preference.
Is this one that we think that we're going to need a site walk on?
I don't think so.
I don't think we're going to need one on this.
Okay. So, I think, is the board comfortable with us now moving to kind of master plan and dialing this in a little bit, bringing, Mr. Calavecchio's concerns related to aesthetics as far as the building elevation? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next matter, 33 Stair Road, public hearing, minor subdivision, preliminary plan review.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record on this case, my name's Timothy Kane. I'm an attorney licensed to practice law in the state of Rhode Island. I have an office at 627 Putnam Pike, and I represent the applicant, Bruce Beaumere. As you can see from the plan, it's Plat 44, Lot 1A. The lot is 117,000 square feet, or 2.69 acres. It's improved by a single-family residential dwelling. The property is served by water and sewer. To the best of our knowledge, there are no wetlands on the property, nor are we proposing any disturbance in a wetland buffer. My client, as you can see from the plan, is seeking to create 2 lots, both of which would meet or exceed the 20,000 minimum square foot requirement for the R20 district. Proposed lot C would be 31,299 square feet, so it's 10,299 square feet above the R20 requirement, and parcel B would have an area of 21,899 square feet, so that exceeds the R20 minimum square footage also. It would be served by a small private road coming in, so there would be no town maintenance with regard to that private road. And we're seeking, I would say, 2 de minimis variances or waivers. The first one would be the lot width on parcel B. So lot width, as you know, is measured at the setback, and on parcel B, we have 104.99 feet of width, and so we would need a variance of 20.01 feet. And we also need a waiver from your design standards on interior angles. Parcel B contains 1 interior angle that's greater than 200 feet, and parcel C contains 1 interior angle of greater than 200 feet. It's a pretty simple plan. That's it in a nutshell. It's not a comprehensive permit. It's a small subdivision. It meets almost all of your requirements. I do have the engineer of record here, Josh Morrow, and I'm sure he can address any questions that you have. Mr. Bowman is here also, who's the property owner, and Mr. Jamie Hainsworth is here also, and he is going to be the purchaser of the lots if you see fit to approve this plan. So owners here, applicants here, engineers here, they can answer any questions that you have.
Well, just on the road, your 40-foot wide road you're proposing, right?
No, no.
What's that?
Right away is 40.
The right way is 40, okay.
But if you go to the plan, the width is actually 20, which I
Okay.
think for 2 lots is.
All right, saw the 40, I was like, wow.
Yeah, it's way too much. And
Yeah.
even the 20, like,
Yeah.
you want to let us go down to 18, we're happy to do it because, it's kind of a glorified driveway. I don't want to put it, but
It
it's.
is, it's a big driveway. Thank you.
I have a question. This site, was it used as an orchard at one time?
Where'd you come up with that question? So it's in the vicinity of an orchard. We did look at the 1939 aerials. I don't know if you have that on there. It's kind of it's the one area of the orchard that was kind of cleared, right? It's just like one square in the middle of the orchard, but it's in the area of an apple orchard. If you go to the 1939 aerials and you punch in 33 Stair Road, I can show you what it looks like. I have it on my phone. But it's in an area of an apple orchard. We're kind of in a clearing. I know this is kind of not the most scientific way, but that's where the property is.
So we're doing some soil testing for arsenic?
We haven't yet, but we're waiting to see if you require that. I mean, I feel 2 ways about that. We're not a comprehensive permit, right? And I know that came up and it left maybe a bad taste in everybody's mouth because I watched what happened with West Greenville Estates. Most agreement was built on an apple orchard, right? And, it's a 2-lot subdivision. So we would prefer not to open up a can of worms. I don't know when we stop with that, is every time someone wants to do an addition on their house or put a garage in or something like that, and if it was built on an apple orchard, are we going to require testing? But anyway, you're the planning board and the issues come up, so we'll seek some input from you.
What's the general consensus on that issue?
What's the relationship to it? Is it
It's on the spot.
It's right, it's on the spot.
Yeah, this area was surrounded by orchard. This is like the one little clearing.
If you look at the staff memo,
It came up at the TRC
yeah,
report.
it clearly
They asked us
states
to
in
look
there.
at the 1939 aerials, and we did.
I just think even if we're building single-family homes and we're gonna have kids playing in the yards,
I think
That's samples.
Whichever way you cut it, there's going to be families going in there. I mean, you know.
I think, Mr. Chairman, knowing what we know, I think I would be in favor of having testing done.
Are you familiar with the testing that was required?
Yes.
Standard?
Yes.
Because if we're going to, if we're going to have testing, which appears to be the
Yeah.
general impression, it's got to be
Yeah.
consistent
Mhm.
with what we did.
Yes.
In the requirement of sample sizing, how the samples were taken.
So we could contact Hoffman Engineering. They're a fine outfit. You know, if that's what the board wants. Of course, being an advocate for my client, you know, I would prefer not to do that, but, you know, I understand your concern, so.
We just required it.
Yeah.
And
You have in some cases, and you haven't in others over the years, you know.
not since I've been here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Name and address?
Brian P. Thalman, Principal, Thalman Consulting, 22 Maplewood Orchard Drive in Greenville.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Absolutely. Mr. Bomir and I have known each other. Like Mr. Kane, we grew up in Smithfield together. We've probably known each other about 50 years now. And when the issue came up down the road, he asked what I thought about it. And I will testify to this board. I live in one of the lots that used to be an apple orchard, and I've lived in it for 50 years. And historically, Smithfield was farms and mills. Greenville, with its soils, was very advantageous for fruit trees. So you had peach trees, you had apple trees. And as a kid growing up, I could tell you that Mr. Steer, every morning between 9 and 10:30, would do his spraying operation. We could hear it probably a half a mile away. What I think, or what my professional opinion is, that separates Mr. Bomir's project from the other project that was on West Greenville Road, and Mr. Moen will remember, that's not really the first time that multifamily housing had been proposed there. I had done a project there probably in 2005 or so. But what differentiates Mr. Bomir's site from that site is that this site has been reworked. And to use somewhat of a funny analogy, the solution to pollution is dilution. So the reworking of this site has mixed the arsenic, the lead arsenate and dilurin, which were the pesticides that were commonly used. And because the lead was a heavy metal, it tended to stay in the first 3 inches of the soil. So when the soils got reworked, it's been diluted. Now, DEM historically had a threshold for lead arsenate of about 7 parts per million. But they've come to realize that that threshold is, the background levels across most of the state are in the teens. So they've recently amended the hazardous waste regulations, and that threshold has now been lifted to 19 parts per million. My sense is that there is a solution to this, and I've kind of recommended to Mr. Bomir, do some background screening, let's see what's there, and then if necessary, go through the protocol of waste management's, and they specify the number of tests that need to be done based on the size of the parcel. And I think for 2.6 acre parcel, I think it's somewhere between 8 and 12 would be the requirement. But my feeling is that the levels will be something where an environmental land use restriction can be put in place, and basically the soil that is impacted is scraped up, it's moved to a section of the property, it is capped, and a restriction is placed on that land moving forward. The project that was up the street, the comprehensive permit project, there are 4 lots that are across the street, which were in Mr. Knight's the pesticide application tended to be heavier on the west side of Greenville, West Greenville Road, than it did on the east side. And those 4 single-family dwellings, basically when they came in, they scraped up about a foot of the soil, it was put in one area, it was capped, and then the houses were built. The benefit that Mr. Beaumier has is he will have both water supplied through the Greenville Water District, but also sewers. So I think that further diminishes any opportunity to have this type of contaminant or suspected contaminant kind of mobilized. Mr. Beaumier is a great person. He's always been supportive of the town. We just went through a series of amendments to the inclusionary zoning, and one of the salient points that was discussed both when it was reviewed here, but also at the council level, was the need to promote single-family dwelling, and I think that is what he is doing. And I think, is it potentially an issue? We don't know yet, but I think that there is a method and a path to get to it, and there is a way to deal with it through DEM. So I hope that is an ability to kind of appease this board as to what really, we all hear orchard and it's, we get concerned, but let's kind of look at, this parcel has probably been reworked at least 3 or 4 times since the 1939 aerial that indicated it was an orchard. And I'll, look at 2 subdivisions that are, directly adjacent to the neighborhood that I live in that were done by Frank Simonelli, and I don't recall any sort of testing or requirement that was mandated for those projects, and there's not been any issues. So I think, I applaud the board for, thinking about it, but I think it's not a deal breaker, if you will.
Comments? Questions?
Untested.
Consistent with the manner in which
We've done in the past.
Who can't you hear?
I said I
Glenn?
would like to see it tested the way we've done it in the past.
I would agree, because it was a full orchard there. I think it's worthy of some type of testing being done.
Okay. That's the general consensus?
We can only respond to what we've been told and what we know. We've dealt with this in the past, going back a decade or more, when we were informed of the use. And we can only act on the information that we have that's been brought before us. So, yes, I think we shouldn't shirk that.
So it seems the consensus is
Understood.
testing consistent with the testing that we had done for, what was it called? The West Greenville.
Yeah, understood.
There's a publication put out by DEM regarding prior agricultural use, including orchards, where it sets forth the sample size, the method of sampling.
So in light of that, first, if you have any other questions for our engineer, he's happy to answer them. In light of that, I ask that you continue in 2 months, and we'll do the testing.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anybody else here that wants to be heard tonight, obviously, so.
It's a public hearing. Should we open it up for public comment if anyone came for it today?
Yes.
Okay. It's 8:46. Public Hearing is open. If anyone would like to comment on this matter, please come forward. State your name, address, then I'll swear you in.
My name is Connor Flynn. I live at 29 Steer Road. C-O-N-O-R.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do. My name is Connor Flynn. Like I said, I live at 29 Steer Road with my wife Ashley and twin 5-year-old daughters Violet and Hazel. We originally moved to Steer Road 3 years ago. We chose this home in Smithfield because not only did it allow our family to have the room to grow, it also came with a generous amount of space for our family to enjoy. We immediately fell in love with the neighbors, area, and home. In the process of buying our home, it was important that we had a yard that provided sufficient space and outdoor activities. And we inquired about the back property line as it was not clear where our property ended and Mr. Bormere's property began. Early in the process, we were told that the majority of the field behind our home was actually owned by the next door neighbor. But what was lacking was any obvious boundary markers. We were told by the real estate agent representing Mr. Bormere and Mr. Bormere multiple times himself that the boundary line between the properties was a pear tree directly behind my backyard. This seemed to make sense because just inside of that pear tree was an existing fire pit and patio. That fire pit and patio is maybe 20 feet from my backyard and maybe 200 to 300 feet from Mr. Bormere's backyard, so that seemed to make sense. We bought the home and have maintained that land for over 3 years now. Throughout our time there, we wanted to make sure we were not encroaching on his land and contacted the owner multiple times verbally and over a text message, confirming where the property line was. We spent over $4,000 in landscaping within that agreed property marker. We set up a swing set for our daughters, and we spent a lot of time using the fire pit and patio. Now, in February of this year, I noticed a surveyor in the area behind our home. I hoped to speak with him because I wanted to confirm where the official property line was. And I watched as he got closer and closer and closer to our back door until he was about 20 feet from our back door. I went outside and he pointed to a buried concrete marker just underneath the grass that was not visible at the time. That marker and the lines that he showed me suggested that our property line was actually set 20 or 30 feet back from where we originally thought it was. Also meaning that the swing set, the garden, the fire pit, and the paver patio were actually on Mr. Bormere's property. Now, I know in this presentation, there was a satellite image, but that satellite image was actually dated. I want to present, if I could, to the board, if this is okay. Okay, I'm just presenting, I don't have a fancy PowerPoint, my apologies. And I only have 5 pieces of paper there, but what you're looking at is the most updated satellite image of the GIS map of our properties. I highlighted in red a number of things in our backyard that are actually, we always were under the impression that we're in our backyard, but are actually on Mr. Bormere's property. If you were to look at that image, then look at the one behind you, you would see that many of those properties, including my child's swing set, is actually going to be taken down essentially for this driveway. So that'd be the garden, the fire pit, my child's swing set, a couple trees we planted were gone, and then there's a patio on the other side and another garden that essentially gets cut in half.
So you know me to point exactly to what you?
Yes, is this a? Yeah, the red, okay.
Good.
Okay, yes, so right on here, that's about where the fire pit is. My child's garden, swing set, there's a garden right here that would get cut in half. There's a paver patio right here, and there's another garden that would get cut in half right here. So my child's swing set's right about there, fire pit, and a number of trees and another garden right here. So this obviously came as a shock. I immediately contacted Mr. Bormere to let him know what I had discovered. At the time, I floated the idea of possibly buying that land back from him to basically get back what we thought we had in the first place. I wanted to do this because I wanted to do this before it got sold off to a developer because I know that a developer may not care about upsetting the neighborhood or the neighbors, and I simply wanted to buy back what I thought we had ours in the first place. In May of this year, and nothing came from that conversation, we just, proceeded. In May of this year, I was shocked to open up the front page of The Observer, where I saw that picture of my house. It was an article describing a new unique subdivision plan in the field behind our home, a plan that required that our garden, fire pit, and daughter's swing set would be paved over by a glorified driveway. I again reached out to Mr. Boyer about my concerns and with moving forward with the plan. I had concerns about the plan, and I asked again if we could potentially try to make this right so I wouldn't lose all this land. If this subdivision plan goes forward as designed, I want the board to understand what it's greenlighting. It would be greenlighting a plan which would pave over a garden, which we thought was ours, fire pit, paver patio, and my daughter's swing set. All of which we were told multiple times was ours in the first place. This plan would put a driveway, presumably 20 feet from our back door. Our children would effectively lose their backyard entirely, and they'd be subject to playing in the front yard, mere feet away from Steer Road, which is a pretty busy road. People typically fly by that road as a cut through to Smith Ave. We moved to Smithfield for the space, and if we wanted a 20-foot backyard, we could have moved to Providence or Warwick or Cranston. We came here for a reason. We love this town, and we are putting down roots to try to stay for a very long time. Every Saturday, I coach my daughters at Deerfield Park. My wife and I just signed up for the PTO at Pleasant View Elementary. Our daughter's best friend is our next door neighbor. And I tell you these things because if this plan goes through, it will significantly deteriorate the quality of our property. And we might be forced to move because this is not what we thought we were buying. I'm not a developer. I'm not a real estate agent. I'm not an investor. I'm just a man who's trying to be a good father and husband and neighbor. And when somebody tells me where the property line is, I trust it. And I try to make it right when I find out that it's wrong. I understand we can't stop progress, and we should be open to the idea of new housing. All I'm asking is that we consider the neighbors that are currently living there. And I ask for equal treatment to the valued members of the community as we give to the developers. I'm asking the board to deny or delay this request for the final approval of this project until the issues I brought can be addressed in a way that allows for compromise for all parties. While reviewing the project, I found multiple opportunities to redraw the existing lines and the proposed property lines in a way that would make sense for everybody. As the attorney mentioned, one of the lots, specifically parcel C, is 10,000 square feet over the legal requirement. We are at the absolute minimum requirement. The amount of land that we believe we are losing is roughly 10,000 square feet. It would make sense, in my opinion, to allow us at least the opportunity to move the line to where we believe it was, giving our property an additional 10,000 square feet and still allowing parcel C to be within the legal requirements. Like I said, I hope the board would consider this. I hope they would delay or a final approval on this until it can be formally addressed. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the planning board, Bruce Beaumier, 33 Stair Road. I'm the owner of the property. I was also the owner of 29 Stair Road, where Connor lives currently.
Can I swear you in? Can I swear you in?
Thank you. Great neighbors, great neighborhood.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I didn't hear you, my apologies.
I wanted to swear you in.
Okay, swear me in.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do. Not knowing where the property lines existed, when Connor bought the home, it was brought to my attention that he was aware that those lots could be developed in the future, but I had no idea where the lines were. I had no reason to know where the lines were because I own the house that he's living in. I spoke with Connor after he had heard or had seen the surveys in the backyard, and he sent me a text if we could chat, and yeah, we spoke, and we speak all the time and any time about any matter that's I live right next to him, so this is my neighborhood as well. I had mentioned to Connor that I don't want to put the cart before the horse because I don't know what position I'm going to be in after meeting with the planning board, but I did reassure him that I would not leave him in a position where he would be jammed up with his kids with the swing set, with the fire pit, and with anything else that may be on his property that's over the line. So I have every intention, once I receive approval, that 10,000, it's actually 10,685 square feet, and I'd be more than willing to work with him, as I mentioned to him personally, through text, through conversation, and now for the record. Thank you, Chief. You got a question?
Yes, Mr. Bomia, can I ask a question? You sold this about, what, 3 years ago?
3 years ago, yeah.
Okay. When you sold it, was there there was no survey done?
There was no survey done.
Was there
The town had the.
Was there a meet and bounds description of the lot that you were
No
selling?
doubt. I mean, if I bought a piece of property, I would go to the town hall and do my research to find out where my property lines were. I hired someone to sell the home. I don't know what steps were taken to get to the point where Connor and his family decided to buy the home with regards to the property lines. And every time we spoke of it casually, use the yard. I don't really care. I have 3 acres of grass to cut. Somebody could use it. I don't use it. My kids are older. So to answer your question, I had no idea where the property lines were, and with regards to the transaction and the acquisition of the property, I don't feel it was my responsibility.
Okay, thank you. Was the fire pit there at the time?
Repeat that?
Was the fire pit there at the time?
I own the house. I own the house that Connor's living in. The fire pit was always there.
Okay, so the fire pit was there, and then he added the garden, and he added the.
Be advised that I own that property. When I bought that house, it was a shotgun piece of property, and I did an administrative subdivision and took that land and put it onto 33 Stair Road. So that's probably why the fire pit was there, because at the point when I purchased that home, 29 Stair Road, that lot went all the way to the back.
Okay, thank you.
I think there's some other members of the public that would like to be heard. You can,
Bob and Donna.
one at a time, please.
Oh, my name is Donna Gattinella,
In your address?
30 Stair Road. We're across the street directly from this proposed development.
Okay.
Address is 30 Stair Road. Gattinella.
You
My
swear to tell?
husband, Bob.
We're going to do one at a time.
I'm
if
just
you-
going to speak.
Okay.
I'm just.
I appreciate
we're
that.
together. Thank you.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Absolutely. Thank you for allowing public comments. My husband and I purchased our home at 30 Stair Road 30 years ago, before Mr. Bomia even lived there. We live across the street directly from the Flynn's home, kind of like between his house and Mr. Bomia's house. Currently, we can look out 2 of our bedroom windows at beautiful lawns across the street. If you approve this proposal, our view will be a long paved road, driveway, leading to not just one newly built home with a decent amount of land if it was one, but 2 homes squeezed in for maximum profit, in my opinion, profit. Many neighbors on Stair Road, as well as several that we know who live on the streets behind us in the neighborhood, are already experiencing low water pressure in their homes at key times during the day. We are very concerned about the possibility of 2 more homes hooking into the water lines directly in front of us for household use and possibly outdoor irrigation. How much worse could this get, and at whose expense to fix it should it become more of a problem? With this type of private development proposal of adding houses B, houses C to existing homeowners' land, the neighbors, us, taxpayers also, are forcibly having the original footprints of our streets altered. More homes hooking into the water and sewer systems on our street, more vehicle traffic on an already cut-through road to get from Windsor and Greenville over to Smith Street. Cars are speeding. We've had police sitting more than once. It's becoming increasingly dangerous. Now we're considering adding 2 homes with more vehicles. More homes lead to potentially more children added to an already crowded Smithfield classrooms and more townspeople for our police and fire personnel to respond to and protect. More utilities, more teachers, more schools, more police and fire will be needed to handle this growing population. All of these cause domino effects for taxpayers here in Smithfield, and we're hearing this happen more often. Is this where Smithfield is heading? That's my question. Who benefits from this? A second question. It seems to me only the property owners and the developers, not the community as a whole. Is this the best direction for those of us who chose to move to Smithfield for better neighborhoods and open space? Or is it all about private developments for personal profits here in Smithfield? I doubt these House Bs and House Cs will bring in significant revenue to the town and be worth the impact that this trend will have on our overall community. This private development plan before you that unfortunately seems to be gaining traction in what used to be a very nice open space community is a choice. It's not a mandate from the state. You, as the planning board, have a choice to approve, not approve, or approve with conditions. I ask that before you make your decision, that you take into consideration that we, the neighbors, have shared our concerns, and most importantly, the requests of Connor and Ashley Flynn, who will be greatly impacted should this move forward as proposed. Their outdoor living space will be a fraction of what they were led to believe it was. I highly urge you, the members of this board, to delay your decision until at best a compromise can be reached between Mr. Bomia and Connor and Ashley Flynn. This young family is loved by the neighborhood, and although many of the neighbors are not here, they are hoping that town leaders and Mr. Bomia do the right thing for the Flynn family. If not, perhaps the next front page article in the Observer, which is how we found out that this was all happening, could be Smithfield residents, beware of private development trends being approved by the planning board, and that could be any one of their backyards next. So in closing, I hope the concerns of the Flynn family and myself are not falling upon deaf ears. I don't think they are, and this is not already a done deal. I hope you seriously consider all of what has been said so that we can continue to be the neighborhood that we are, with mutual respect, consideration, and concern for each other. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jeff Mignault, and I live at 35 Stair Road.
Thanks. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Your last name, please?
Migneault. You know, I'm not against Mr. Bomia building a house back there. There's a giant housing shortage in Rhode Island as a whole. And, that seems reasonable. My 2 points is, one, I'm glad to hear he's willing to make Mr. Flynn whole. I can't believe that Mr. Flynn would have built that stuff on land if he was told it wasn't his. And, we should be good neighbors, we should be upfront, we should deal with each other. I know there was survey being done on the land a number of years ago, so it's surprising that he didn't know. And then my only other point, it seems really weird to squeeze 2 houses into this lot. I know there has to be a variance on the width. They're totally strange shapes. I'd be happy if it was just one lot. That would seem to fit with the neighborhood, and that's all.
Thank you. Okay. Any other members of the public that'd like to be heard? Okay. Mr. Kane?
I'd ask that you continue it 2 months, and I'm sure Mr. Bomber is going to talk to his neighbor, and maybe we can come back with something that makes everybody happy. I can't guarantee that, but.
Any clock issue on this?
Mr. Kane, why are the 2 lots the shape that they're in? I mean, I get the geometry of trying to connect 2 points, but why couldn't you just make them more rectangular? Why couldn't?
I'll
answer?
let the engineer address it.
If you can state your name, address, I'll swear you in.
Joshua Morrow, part of Insight Engineers at 501 Great Road, North Smithfield, Rhode Island.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do. Morrow, Morrow. And the question was kind of lot geometry shape. I would definitely say that the main point of interest there is the frontage requirement, along with providing access to both lots. Given the existing lot, frontage requirement for that as such, and providing access to the 2 back lots, they do typically look like a non-standardized shape, but that's the way they come out to meet the zoning ordinance in the best particular manner.
But if you took what appears to be the driveway that's going north on the page and just went west on the page, and then just divided it up, take where, and then just had one rectangular lot and another rectangular lot, and then the road went straight, the driveway went straight, you'd still have the same amount of frontage.
I don't see it. I don't see what you're saying.
Yeah, I'll see what I'm saying.
I don't.
You took this, it's here, and basically you go straight, now you got 2 rectangular-ish lots, then you get the same amount of frontage here and there. And then that gentleman's issue, basically it's not gonna be looking at asphalt anywhere around here. It would be a simple or easier solution to come here and then basically go whatever direction, kind of give them a chunk of green space.
I don't see it personally yet.
You don't see what?
Only because there's not lines on the page. I can't imagine it.
Again, maybe we'll go back to the drawing board, right? We're getting a lot of input here, we have a neighbor concern.
I'm a professional too, so that's why I'm concerned that you don't see it. I mean, yeah, but you can talk to him.
Yeah, but we get the idea. So again, I guess that you continue it 2 months, and we can move it.
Great, thank you.
See if we can come up with
You'll need, continue it to the November 20th date. You'll need the clock.
20th, November 20th?
Yep, you need the clock continued for the decision till that date, and in the meantime, they can conduct their testing.
And so for members of the public, there will not be separate notice. Today is notice of the continuation to November 20th. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we continue this matter to November 20th meeting of the board,
With the clock being continued.
with the clock being continued.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Got two ayes in the corner?
Yes.
Aye?
Yes, aye.
Okay. The ayes have it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Next matter,
Let's.
residents at 295 Master Plan Review.
Oh, boy.
You know that.
Yeah, right, who it was. It's a private dispute.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Julie Saris on behalf of the applicant. Our offices are at 100 Westminster Street, 16th floor, Providence, Rhode Island. So the applicant is ASG Builders LLC, and we are originally here today for the public hearing at master plan review for the comprehensive permit. However, due to the Valley Breeze notice being a little blurred and having a misprint, as was announced at the beginning of tonight's meeting, the public hearing has been moved to the October meeting. But on that note, we wanted to take the opportunity tonight to still reintroduce the project to the board and obtain some feedback. We have a presentation for you, and we'll be quick, considering that everything that we will give tonight and state tonight will also be stated on the record for the public hearing. And to give some background on the project, this project was before you for pre-app back in April. It received its TRC review just last week on September 4th. And so the project is the comprehensive permit providing a mixed-use development with 86 residential units and 8 flex space units. So with that being said, we know that this has been receiving some great feedback over the past couple months, knowing that this is a very appropriate place in the town for high-density residential. And with the comprehensive permit, we do have 2 adjustments being requested. As you know, it's located in the EGOD overlay district, so it has a certain percentage for what's considered to be for residential use and what will be for any other permitted use. So we are requesting a little bit over for the residential. I believe it's 9.8% over than what is permitted, and 9.2% relief over under of what's permitted for the other commercial use. And all of that, again, will be summarized in our presentation before you. And then the second adjustment that's being requested is for the minimum density bonus that's permitted under the statute. So we are requesting an additional 29 units here. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over and introduce our expert, Joe Casale.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Just for the record, Joe Casale, registered professional engineer, offices in 300 Fish Road. First of all, good evening. Thank you for hearing us tonight. We recognize how late it is. I do promise to be. I think one of the most important aspects of this project is its location. You can see from that aerial, I don't think I see a single family home within it. But adjacent to 295, 116, and you have the confluence of Paris and Rocky Hill. That's the subject parcel. Specifically, Assessors Plat 48, Lot 5, 34 Rocky Hill Road. It's about 3.5 acres. You can see it's really tucked away in the northernmost spot in the town, really next to a self-storage facility, behind the Little Learners daycare, and adjacent to the Easy Dumpster and Trailers facility. So we've had the wetlands delineated, that is a real wetland edge. You are seeing only a 25-foot buffer because of the size and makeup, 20-foot structure setback, but a 100-foot jurisdictional area. So without question, Mr. Chairman, we'll be going to the Division of Freshwater Wetlands and seeking a permit from them. As Julissa said, we are in the planned corporate district, in the economic growth overlay district in terms of the overlay boundary, which carries with it only a 25-foot rear setback. But in terms of comporting to the code, 35% of that buildable land area has to be mixed-use development in the EGO, and 65% of that land area has to be residential. So by its statute, it is a mixed-use development comporting with the EGO zone. So in terms of unit count, 20 units per acre are allowed in the EGO district. So the 2.3 acres that we're proposing to be residential, 46 units is allowed in the underlying zone. And then in accordance with the comprehensive permit density bonus, at minimum of 5 units per acre will be added with 25% LMI, which this project is proposing. So that adds another 11, garnishing 57 units by right. One of our adjustments that we're asking for is 29 additional units, 86 total. 25% or 22 of them will be low to moderate income statute. So that's the first of the 2 adjustments, is the number of units. You can see, Mr. Chairman, this is all going to be in one structure. It's a 4-story multi-family residential structure. That footprint, that footplate that you're looking at now is about 19,600 square feet. There will be 4 of them stacked on top of each other. Ed Wojak, our architect of record, that is what we propose that this structure may look like. And that's a view if you're heading out of town 295 north. You can see how it's going to be embedded into the landscape, and that you'll have some visual effect from it, but not much. When we look at the footplates of them, 86 total units, but 72 of them are 1 bedroom. And that's another unique characteristic of this project. There are no 3, 4, 5 bedroom units. 72 of them are 1 bedroom and 14 of them are 2 bedroom units. You can see that we have 4 different type 1 bedroom units, and we also have 2 different type 2 bedroom units. And according, of course, to comport with statutory requirements, we will disperse all of these LMI units within not only the 2 bedrooms and the 1 bedroom and the different types, but also on the different floors. When you look at the commercial component of this, we're proposing flex space units, 8 of them that'll be in the south of the project, and that's some type of a design inspiration that we would like for the flex units. Very typical of what you see in town. You would have an overhead door and a man door so that we could have something like an electrician, a plumber, somebody in that commercial space to come in and out. So in terms of our second adjustment, we're asking that we not use 35% of the buildable area for the mixed use. We want to reduce that to about 26% or a relief of about 9%, and then accordingly increase from 65% in the residential up to 72%, so asking for almost 9%. So again, the 2 adjustments are the number of units and just moving around some of the ratios in terms of commercial to residential development. That is a good screenshot of what we could see to have a nice layout to separate the units. An entrance off of Rocky Hill Road, that'll be our only entrance. And then in terms of parking, as you know, 86 units would require 86 spaces. We're proposing 91 for the residents, another 24. So overall, 115 spaces, many more than is required, but we think that's what will be needed in terms of our use. Drainage is pretty straightforward. That will be easy enough to make work with all of the space that we have. Ultimately, everything moves its way into a stormwater basin within the federal highway on 295. Utilities, we're very lucky to have a 12-inch water main right outside of Rocky Hill Road. Speaking with the water departments, we don't expect any issues with pressure or volume. We'll have both domestic and fire protection servicing the building. And the same with sewer. We have a Bay Commission line right in Harris Road. We're going to extend that up Rocky Hill, a couple of pump stations to easily be able to service the relative units. Technical Review Committee, we've already appeared once. One of the key comments I think that they had was they wanted to create a dedicated throughway for the commercial traffic. We think we can easily make that happen, updating some of the layouts that you'll see when we see you again on October the 16th. But basically having one direct access in case there was ever an issue in terms of public safety. Just lastly, to bring this up, you can see that little yellow dot just to the right of the B zone. We are not in any of the airport hazard areas. Zone D, which is what we're in, is a horizontal zone. It's not in either of the runways. The A and B zones are critical, and then the C zones as well. So just in terms of permitting path, I know that we saw some of you back in April of this year. Tonight, unfortunately, because of the notice requirement, we're only here for our pre-application review. We will be back on the 16th of October for our master plan. And should we be successful, as you know, we still have a long ways to go with wetlands, Smithfield water, fire, Bay Commission for sewer, and then a plethora of permits from the town engineer's office, including stormwater, traffic, soil erosion, landscape and lighting, and then ultimately a preliminary plan and final from the administrative officer. So again, I know it's a long evening. I appreciate you all staying and hearing us. What we really wanted to accomplish with this was to, if there is any additional feedback, we'd love to hear it from you so we can make some changes for the 16th. And if it makes sense to schedule a site review, is it possible to do it now so that we can get moving through our master plan?
Questions?
Board? Yeah, well, is the topography, it's pretty much flat there, right?
Yeah, it's reasonable. It's nothing that's gonna cause a concern, but there is enough slope that we can get the drainage to,
Joe, back in April, I had brought up a point about having some passive recreation area with some green space added.
Yes.
Have you added any of that?
We haven't, but there's opportunity to do so. There's definitely opportunity within and around the building. Diane Soul is going to be our landscape architect of record. I'll ask her to craft some of those spaces.
We need a space that children can use, people walking their dogs can use. Whether there's a walking path you can put in. Are there sidewalks around all the buildings?
There is. It may be tough to see with the small print right there, but it is our plan to have sidewalk all the way around parking areas, not only for safety, but if residents wanted to make the loop and to take the walk. But that's fair, Catherine, and I will, when we see you next, we'll have some of that program flushed.
Any other comments?
Joe, as you know, what was mentioned previously is if you're going to go with the economic overlay district, that there are certain design standards. And I think you have a choice whether or not you want to go economic or you don't. At least that wasn't it? You can either go plan development or economic, because once the economic overlay came, okay, because it comes with certain benefits, but I'm not sure if you're eking the benefits or not.
Yeah, I think it's, it's an underlying overlay district, but it's our intent as a design team and as an ownership team to try to comport with the Eagle District as best we can.
Okay,
We didn't
so-
want to come in here with just a straight comprehensive permit. We understood that the Eagle District had wanted the spirit of the ordinance, and I know Mike was one of the architects, and I don't mean to speak like I was, but I understood that the spirit of the overlay district was to have a mixed use. And is there an area in town where we can work in residential and commercial? Because that doesn't ever seem to happen.
I mean, it was strictly for Smithfield Pete's property, big project that was going to have,
Yeah.
retail and everything. It was going to have everything. So it was trying to come up with, exactly.
And we did one with, you may remember, with Scott Ringland right on 116, and that parcel was just so small, we couldn't integrate a lot of the, this is not as small, but it's certainly not big. It's not a campus like a Smithfield Peak would turn out to be. But I'm curious, Richard, what are your thoughts? Do you think that we're on the right path with this type of mixed use?
Well, it's the materials and the design of it, I think, is more where I'm coming from, and that I think, and I don't want to design it, but I think you should take a look at those design standards that are part of this district and make sure that you comply.
That's fair. That's a good comment. I will speak to architect Ed Wojcik about that. We'll come back with some, maybe some deeper thought into our materials.
Any other comments, questions?
Mike, what about you? What do you think?
I wish I didn't vote against Richard the last time we were talking about architectural treatments on the outside of buildings. He was damn right, because the stuff that they put on the outside looks pretty horrible right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of, especially in Providence, we're well, Providence City Planning Commission, there's a lot of faux materials or fake materials.
It was the whole drive-it stuff. I was totally against drive-it, but I was overruled.
Yeah, they hate it as well, and drive-it is in the city, but I can assure you that we will not have drive-it on this, but I don't have enough detail or enough command of that now to speak eloquently to an architect about that, but I will, and we will be back with something better than that. But tell me more about the details. I know what the design review standards are, but.
Yeah, no, I think, what'd you call it at the time? EFIS?
EFIS stuff. Is that what you want?
Yeah, and that, no.
What you don't?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, in a nutshell, and we're not expecting this, but everybody was looking at the Navigant building across the street from Smithfield Pete and say, if we're going to have anything, it should have some sort of character like that does. And it came back, well, we can do EFIS for all the precast and stuff like that. And it just went down just a rabbit hole from, being big panels of EFIS, so.
To speak to Catherine's suggestions about passive recreation for the residents, you may have to look at losing some of that parking. I don't know, you'll have to do the math, but maybe you don't need as many excess parking spaces, but
Yeah, or
that's
some
up to you.
multi-use spaces that we could maybe integrate into.
Yeah.
That's why we're here tonight. That's great feedback.
Who's the market? Single family and Al.
Why don't you come up, introduce yourself?
Do I need to be sworn in? Or?
No, it's not.
Okay, okay. No, it's not family. It's one-bedroom units. It's two-bedroom units. Part of this project, and one of the biggest things I took into consideration when designing this project is, not that I don't want to sell to families, but obviously that's one of the biggest concerns now is schools. And one-bedroom units do not bring school-age children. And truthfully, with only 14 two-bedroom units, I don't even see school-age children in this building. Professionals, young professionals, even, retirees. There's nothing like this in the town. There's nowhere for people who want to stay in Smithfield, sell their house and move to a smaller location that the landscaping's taken care of, the snow plowing's taken care of. This is a great opportunity for the quote-unquote baby boomers to have a place to go. I don't, Joe, are the plans on there, the actual plans? So if you look at the first floor plan, this is actually designed a lot like a retirement center. I have other plans, but on the first floor, you see there's a lot more of that white space. So the big room in the back is actually a community room. There's area for a potential hair salon. There's laundry room. There's laundry rooms on every floor. Basically, everything is here for people who want to be able to use it. You know, I love Catherine's idea of a little more green space. We could do a garden, you know, for people who want to go out there and do gardening. Truthfully, the playground part of it, I don't necessarily see because I don't see kids here. And that's just me. If it's something that the board requires, then obviously we'll do it. I have no problem with that.
Well, you'll have grandparents there.
There will
grandkids
potentially
over.
be grandparents there, yes. So again, I have no problem with that. We're doing a small playground for kids to play in. And, you know, again, I've been in this town my whole life. The owner of the property, Al Costantino, he's been here his whole life. You know, it's not just put this thing up and walk away. This is something that I intend to keep. And it's, you know, a legacy for Al, it's a legacy for myself, and we do the best we can for this town. I mean, obviously, you all know I was on the planning board, and, you know, the two of us, that's how we live. So, you know, any suggestions from the board, that's why I pushed to have this meeting tonight, because coming into October, when we come to master plan, I'd like to have as many comments and concerns from the board so we can address them in October. I also asked for the site visit potentially to do it between now and October, so that's also taken care of, and the board feels good about what they see. So if anybody has any more questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Does anybody want a site visit, or no? We're comfortable with that.
Okay.
I'll take a drive.
Yeah.
I'll take a drive by.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Casale?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, we appreciate it.
Okay. I will open for general public comment.
Yes.
If anyone would like to be heard, please come forward.
Just very quickly, the special meeting that you proposed in the senior center, the last time they came here, I mean, the Smithfield Police Head Office, this room was packed. Is the senior center going to be big enough for that? There's a lot of movement on social media on this one. So I don't know if anybody's got their finger on the pulse, and then to make sure
What's that, Catherine?
you properly advertise it so that so you don't get a lot of pushback from everybody.
Jim and De'Amara, I already looked into this. What they refer to as the ballroom has a capacity of 196. So,
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else who would like to make public general comment? You have something, director's report, is that?
That's
our
me.
planner?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Yeah, since this was my first meeting and first time meeting a lot of you all, I thought it'd be appropriate to give a brief report and overview some of my thoughts, some of what I've been working on with Chris in the department, and Mike for that matter, because he's still coming around a couple of days a week to help out, and some of my thoughts moving forward as well. So over the past few weeks, we as a department have been focusing on strengthening a lot of our processes, identifying strategies to better align projects with the comp plan, managing development responsibly, making sure our growth supports town's character and physical health. And so I want to go over again at a high level what that's meant for our day-to-day work and what I see moving forward. Firstly, as you've probably noticed, we've begun reformatting things like agendas and checklists. We've also implemented a new form of project tracking. You know, the goal of that being to make the reviews more efficient, predictable, transparent for all those involved in the process. And in tandem with those internal efforts, I've been working with the state in preparation for our transition to using OpenGov e-permitting, which is mandatory per state law, which means that every subdivision land development comp permit application must be filed, processed, and tracked electronically through the OpenGov portal. I see this as a good thing in many ways, especially after meeting with Matt Lambert at the state, and he went through the whole portal system for me and showed me what it would look like on our end and on the applicant's end and on the public's end as well. However, this will mean that you all will likely receive staff reports, plans, and exhibits electronically.
We like hard copies.
I know. And I'll get to that. So, per the state law and how it's written, and I've spoken with Dave about this, we can't mandate paper copies be submitted to us, which means that we can request them of the applicants as a courtesy. We were discussing potential increases of filing fees to cover potential costs of printing, but that would mean that the onus of printing all of those materials would be on the department, as well as the physical distribution that you're already receiving.
Perhaps letting the applicant know it's highly recommended for the board.
Yeah, we're discussing that a bit.
I agree with the chair.
I can appreciate that, and I understand that's been how things have been done and everything. It's just a big transition in terms of how the legal language is written and what we can require. Highly recommend. There's only so much teeth behind that, so to speak. So we'll have to deliberate that on a little bit more. I've submitted everything that we need to get that rolling. I don't know exactly. It's supposed to be October 1st that it's launched for every municipality throughout the state. We were one of the last municipalities to submit all of our materials.
We can't require that separate and apart from the state? In addition to? Why not?
I don't have the exact law.
I'd like you to look at
language here,
that,
but I can
David,
provide
because
that for you.
I'm a big paper guy,
So am I.
and I think a lot of the members on the board are, and to get an effective review of these matters, it's one thing looking on a computer trying to flip through a lot of documents versus having them.
Well, having the same problem with the zoning board, the zoning board application is now by the committee. It does not help the board at all, even determine.
It's going to be unworkable otherwise.
David, is the town going to supply us with a laptop computer so that we can open up these
Yeah,
things
that's why I
and
was
use
thinking.
them?
That's what Greg and I were also talking, we just started to talk about this evening, earlier this afternoon. So that was one of the other options, is many towns provide iPads to their members, but now you're gonna deal with that separate aspect of the cost.
I much rather have the paper.
That makes
Just me personally.
That makes the whole review process much more difficult. But if the paper doesn't exist, an iPad would at least be doable with, difficult and seen off a phone.
Right on my dining room table.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't even need my glasses instead of trying to look. I have a 20-inch screen in my personal computer. Even that gets small. Look at some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're gonna,
it's gonna be, this is gonna be interesting.
To say the least.
Being able to look at this.
I don't blame you.
Being able to look at this and pick on a lot of stuff on the screen, you're missing.
I mean, the cost for printing from an applicant, I mean, I would assume for them to feel that they want to be in good graces with us, they would just make the printing and not complain.
One would hope.
So,
Yeah. Last thing I want to do is upset for the first time in front of you guys. So I just ask, don't shoot the messenger. But we're going to look into it more and figure out exactly whether or not we, to what extent we can leverage and or require. Right now, it seems clear, but we obviously, and you obviously all have questions about it. We're going to be looking into it more.
great.
So I'll be providing you another update on all that, probably over email as we get answers and consider it more. If you have any more questions about that, I'll just continue. So we're also considering and working on how we can refine how we're handling and reviewing comprehensive permits. Obviously, you all know that we're well below the state's 10% affordable housing threshold, and large projects are often arriving really quickly and often out of scale with our villages and neighborhoods. Within the requirements of state law, we're trying to focus on strategies that focus on proportionality, fairness, stronger front-end reviews to make sure these projects actually fit better within our long-term goals and our neighborhood characteristics. Third, we're obviously continuing to manage these major development reviews with clarity and consistency, ensuring that, and you might have noticed in my staff memo for 33 Steer, I listed all of the specific finding of fact and the staff's opinion on all those. Those are things that I want to make sure are implemented in all of our memos moving forward. Fourth, trying to lay the groundwork for future policy updates to keep our regulations current, maintaining compliance with state law, and also responsive to the evolving community needs, while strengthening coordination with outside agencies and residents alike. I should also note that soon we're going to need to turn our attention towards a comp plan rewrite or update that will expire. Our comprehensive plan will expire October 2nd of 2027. So I'm pretty, in 2 years isn't a long time for a comp plan. I've written a couple dozen, so I know what it takes. So more to be seen on that in the near future. Fifth, we're investing time and effort into strengthening relationships and transparency. Obviously, you all know I've been working to meet with you all one-on-one to hear your feedback and learn more about your perspective on the department. I've launched an Ask a Planner column in the Valley Breeze to explore some topics that matter to community members. And I've been working with the town manager and members of the council to develop both physical and digital resources to clarify roles of the various boards and committees and to host those in public locations as well to help the public's understanding of all these processes and exactly how the decisions are made. We've also begun assessing our budget and staff capacity to better understand both our capacity and available resources to meet all these statutory deadlines, be able to handle the major applications coming for us, and moving a number of new initiatives forward effectively. And finally, one thing that I've actually started in the last week or so is preparing a value per acre analysis to see which parts of our town are generating the most tax value relative to the land and infrastructure they consume. This will help us all have a better understanding of which land uses actually strengthen our tax base and which ones strain our resources, so that way future zoning ordinances and investment decisions are guided by the long-term fiscal health of the community. And that's it. Yes, yes. Thank you for reminding me that. I didn't include that in this. We are going to be regularly holding time blocks for TRC on the first and third Wednesday of the month, as opposed to sporadically when they're needed. So we're reserving those times, and as applications come forward that need them, we're going to be hosting them on one or the other. The goal being the first TRC of the month can actually impact and be heard in an appropriate amount of time at that month's planning board meeting, and the third will be there to help with the next month's as well. I'm sure there's some other things too that I'm not thinking of right now. I've been busy. We've been busy.
Thank you very much. With Lime Rock, police detail is recommended. Okay?
Last time we did it with sand trace, we did need it.
So if the appropriate inquiries can be made, I think that'd be appropriate for that. If anything, just a show.
Got it.
Everybody in agreement with that?
Yes, totally.
Okay. We have a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All not in favor? The ayes have